start. There was a doubt about Gordon with that knock, but he's obviously all right. Wilson, 3 games in the space of a week for Callum Wilson. We don't see that too often, do we? And Almiron on that right side. So probably, the strongest side he could pick. I mean, I would have Botman in my strongest side because I think he's the best defender at the club, but that's it. And obviously having him and Isak on the bench and Livramento on the bench gives you 1 or 2 options that we didn't have previously, that's for sure.
Yeah, because Razor, we talk about Livramento being rested and Trippier not being rested. Newcastle, we cannot forget, have had a very, very hectic schedule over the past few weeks.
Oh, haven't they just? Yeah, and then they play again in 3 days' time, but then they'll get a little break after Nottingham Forest on Boxing Day because they don't play again until New Year's Day night and the trip to Liverpool, so it is easing for them. I'm not sure how many players they'll get back over the next couple of weeks or so, but at least Isak's available, and they have had Botman return and Wilson and Longstaff and Byrne as well over the last 10 days or so, 2 weeks. So that's been really important for Eddie Howe, but it's been a tough and really demanding period for Eddie Howe and his players. Not just the number of matches, Colin, but actually who they faced. I mean, Arsenal, Manchester United, Spurs, Chelsea twice in the league and then in the Cup, as well as Paris Saint-Germain and AC Milan in the Champions League. So the manager knows it's certainly been a testing time.
The games we've had this season have been, and I think if you go back to pre-season, our pre-season schedule sort of mirrored that as well. It was incredibly difficult. I think it can only make us improve. You play the best teams you can on a consistent basis, you'll get closer to them. That's very much been our thought behind what's happened and the run we've had this season. So I think, yes, we've had difficult moments within the squad in terms of the strength of the squad and the numbers that we've had available to pick, but I think those players that have gone toe-to-toe with all those teams, no doubt individually and collectively we would have got closer, and that's the aim, long-term aim. So we're more than happy with that.
You'll hear plenty more from Eddie Howe in the build-up. West Ham, incidentally, have now gone 2-0 up on Manchester United. Mohamed Kudus in the 78th minute. So West Ham 2, Manchester United 0. Just before we let you breathe for 10 minutes or so, you've got the Luton lineup, Razor.
Yeah, the Luton team, obviously they're missing their captain, Tom Lockyer, who is thankfully now recovering at home, having been released from hospital after his cardiac arrest on the pitch at Bournemouth last weekend. But their side is one with wing-backs, 3 central defenders, so like a 5-4-1 really. Thomas Kaminski, the keeper, 3 centre-backs, Ted Mengi, Gabriel Osho and Alfie Doughty, with Issa Kabore and Amari Bell, the 2 wing-backs. Ross Barkley, who is performing very well back in the Premier League, now a Luton player by all accounts, alongside the on-loan Arsenal midfielder Albert Sambi Lokonga, and then Andros Townsend, once quite briefly of Newcastle United, and Jacob Brown, either side of Elijah Adebayo, who's their top scorer with 4 goals this season.
Razor and John Anderson, thank you very much for the moment. Then we will return to them when we do the splits in about 10 minutes time. Newcastle United, which is always the case when we do have 2 matches at the same time, will be on our FM frequencies this afternoon, away at Luton Town this afternoon. But at the Stadium of Light, Sunderland are at home to Coventry City this afternoon. It's Michael Beale's first game in charge. Good afternoon, Nick Barnes and Gary Bennett.
Good afternoon, Colin. Hope you're well.
Reds, that clattering tells you Benno's there. Remind us of the starting 11 then first, Barnesy.
Patterson, Huggins, Ballard, O'Nien and Hume, Neal and Equa, Roberts, Barr, Clark and Job. One change, Job comes back into the team. No Pritchard or Hamir, though they're both ill. And the bench then is Bishop, Burstow, Mienda, Rusin, Sealt, Aushish, Triantis, Rigg and Dak. So we have 3 strikers on the bench.
Yes, 3 on the bench, Gary, but he's not starting any of them.
No, not at all. I think if you look back, I think we thought that he'll revert back with Bellingham up front. You've got to remember, before the Bristol game, he scored 2 goals. He left him on the bench for the Bristol game. He tried something different. It didn't work because Clark started up, shall we say, as an out-and-out striker, and then he had moved out onto the left-hand side later on for the second half. But he's come straight back in. I would imagine that Bellingham will play up front as a striker, and obviously the midfield will play off him.
Because, and this is sort of for both of you, I guess, Michael Beale's, one of his challenges is he does have to get those strikers firing, but it's probably not the way to do it, just hoy a couple of them in his first game in charge. That wouldn't have worked.
No, I don't think. I mean, I think this is going to be a long, drawn-out process, to be honest. I think the age that they are, the three of them, certainly, suggests that will be a longer-term project. Rusin is the interesting one because he is 24, 25. He is experienced, relatively experienced. He's, had a few games. I've got a funny feeling that once he gets a bit more up to speed with his English, and Michael Beale's seen a bit more of him, they'll probably throw him into a couple more under-21s games. And look, with the schedule that they've got over this next week, there's every chance he may well get a chance at some point in a game over the next week or so. So I think it is generally a work in progress. There's no question. The question then becomes: do they in January invest in another striker? There's lots of rumours about this Japanese striker that they've been monitoring. Will they bring someone in, or will they figure that they've got 4 strikers and Dak and Pritchard? Is it worth their while bringing in another, with no guarantees that bringing in another young striker is going to work in January? A lot will depend, I think, on what happens over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, because, Gary, Nick's just alluded to it, but they're going to play Saturday, Tuesday, Friday, Monday in the next 4 games. So there's going to have to be an element of rotation, and the strikers are going to have to start some of those games, aren't they?
Well, they should. I think sometimes what we're doing, we're overlooking. We've got 4 strikers. Now, the 4 strikers cannot be all bad. But what you've got to look at is you've got to look at the system. You've got to look at the system. Does the strikers fit into the system? And the answer to that is no. So we might have to tweak the system. You've got to remember that we played near enough a season without a striker. Now, them players, the likes of Roberts and Clark, have been used to not playing with a striker. So they're not just going to go and change the game because we've got a striker in the team.
Coventry, have you got the Coventry starting 11 yet,
Nick?
Yes,
3 changes. Bradley Collins in goal. Back 4 remains the same. Milan van Uijk, the Dutch right back, Bobby Thomas, Liam Kitching and Jake Bidwell. But Jamie Allen comes in as the defensive midfielder. Couple of changes in the centre then. Tatsuhiro Sakamoto plays, but they've brought in Callum O'Hare, former Aston Villa midfielder, next to Ben Sheaf, and they've also dropped Jay Da Silva and brought in Haji Wright, the American, who was playing in Turkey last season. But Ellis Sims continues in attack. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, bearing in mind his form this season.
Indeed. Nick and Gary, thank you very much to both of you for the moment. There is one game going on in the Championship just now, and Leeds are thumping Ipswich by 4-0. And Ipswich haven't lost many this season, but Leeds are 4 up with just over 5 minutes remaining. Joel Pirro scored the 4th of those 4 quite early in the second half. They were 3-0 up at half-time, were Leeds United. And they look as though they are cruising towards... Pascal Struijk with the first, Crescencio Somerville with a penalty on the stroke of half-time was the 3rd. There was an own goal from Leif Davis in there as well. So they look as though they are cruising towards 3 points, and gets Leeds United 3 points closer to Ipswich because it's 3rd, beating 2nd in the Championship table at the moment. A reminder that in the Premier League, Manchester United are still 2-0 down at West Ham United, and that kicked off at the same time, so that has only got 6 or 7 minutes left in it as well. That Sunderland match, just to remind you, I'll give you another reminder in a minute or two, but Sunderland Coventry this afternoon on DAB Digital Radio and Freeview Channel 719. In non-league this afternoon then, in the National League, Gateshead are away to Oldham. In National League North, Blythe Spartans at home to Chester. South Shields away to Rushall Olympic. Both could do with winning after both losing last weekend. In the NPL Premier Division, Morpeth away to Matlock Town. But our featured game is in the NPL East Division this afternoon. Hebburn Town at home to Grantham Town. Paul Dixon is there for us. And Hebburn are doing brilliantly, Paul. Despite that defeat against a very, very good Stockton side, it's a very positive season so far for Hebburn.
It certainly is. Good afternoon, Colin. Yes, it really is. And I've got the chairman of Hebburn here with me, Vin Pearson, and he is happy the way things are going. Vin, You're second in the league. I know you lost 3-1 last week to Stockton, but you've had a great run. Like I say, you're second in the league. You need to get back on winning ways against Grantham this afternoon.
Yes, we need to get 3 points there today, but as Paul said, we got beat last week, but previous to that we had a run of 7 games. We're still second top, and everything seems to be going in the right way. Hopefully we do get 3 points today.
Now, Vin, like I say, you're second top there, and, you know, the pyramid system, how determined is the club and yourself and the owners who want to take the club further on?
Realistically, we do want promotion, but it wouldn't be anything hard if we didn't go there. As long as we'll get the supporters here, the crowds come, you know, we'll get good crowds, but it is a big step up into the next step, and hopefully we do get promotion, but we're not going to worry if we don't.
Now, Vin, you're in between Gateshead and South Shields, so when they're not playing, you've told me their fans come along and support Hebburn Town.
Oh, without a doubt. If Gateshead are away and we are at home, Gateshead, they send a lot of people down here. And the same as South Shields, there's Jarrah supporters, Bolton supporters. They all come to the ground and give us a good, very good support of them.
Now, Vin, finally, I'm just going to ask you to tell our listeners and myself how many years you've been involved with Hebburn Town.
That must be 35, 40 years on and off, you know what I mean? I've been back here now 5, 6 years as chairman. The owners asked us to come back here as chairman. But I had some good times as manager of Hebburn Town when they were in the Washington League. I come here, then we got promoted to the Wearside League, the Northern League. But I've been to other clubs as well. But this is me home, Hebburn.
Well, I wish you all the best this afternoon, Vin, and let's see if he can get back on winning ways. Colin.
Thank you very much, Paul, and to Vin Pearson as well. Always good to hear from him. Yeah, pretty much Mr. Hebburn. And as he says, now chairman as well. Elsewhere in that East Division this afternoon, Dunstan are away at Bridlington, Ashington are away at Brighouse Town, Consett at home to Winterton Rangers, and in the Scottish Lowland League as well, Berwick Rangers away at Bo'ness United this afternoon. We will do our full local football roundup at 5:45. Reminder that they're getting towards the end of these games now. West Ham 2-0 up on Manchester United in the Premier League. Jared Bowen and Mohamed Kudus. And in the Championship, third beating second, Leeds United 4-0 up on Ipswich. With a couple of minutes to go there. Last night to rugby union then, Newcastle Falcons came close but once again fell short. That is their 11th straight defeat in all competitions. They were beaten by 21 points to 13 at home by Bristol. Kieran MacDonald scoring the Falcons' only try of the evening. And afterwards, the Falcons head coach Alex Codling had a chat with us.
Yeah, the boys are great. We knew this. We knew all week that because of the way they play, we spoke a lot around the breakdown opportunities, and I thought the boys are fantastic. And I said so many positives. It's 11, whatever it is, 11 in a row. I admire their courage, I admire their tenacity, their relentlessness, their resilience. They never give up. Like even in the first half, we ran across periods, but even on a line to a man, they stood firm. We spoke a lot around their threats during the week, and I thought the boys did a brilliant job on Harry Randall for the most part. He's a really dangerous runner. But I said just key moments, and probably the most key was for me was at 7-6. We're behind at 64 minutes or 65 minutes on the right-hand side. We've got a scrum and we just don't quite execute, and then at this level when you make mistakes, and we still are making too many, but we are a young group and they have to learn, but we then go down the other end and we concede, and ultimately that's the difference at this level.
That is Alex Codling then, the Newcastle Falcons head coach. You'll hear a bit more from him at half-time in the Newcastle United and Sunderland games. Because it's so close to Christmas, no basketball across this weekend, no ice hockey either, but in the darts, it's the World Darts Championship, the 2024 World Darts Championships. And in the second round, last night, Chris Dobie was run very close by William O'Connor, Chris Dobie of Bedlington, but he has made it through. He won by 3-2. Unfortunately, in the last 10-15 minutes or so, Callan Ridge could not copy him. So the 30th seed, but he'd drawn one of the worst draws, to be honest, because he was up against Ricardo Petrescu of Germany, who not seeded, but 39th in the world, so never a huge amount between them anyway. And Callan Ridge beaten by 3-2 this afternoon. So Callan Ridge is out. Chris Dobie is through. They now have a bit of a break after today for Christmas, and the tournament resumes on the 27th. Tonight, Britain's Anthony Joshua is fighting Otto Wallin. He says he would relish fighting Deontay Wilder if he gets past the Swedish heavyweight tonight in Riyadh. That could set up what's been a very long-awaited contest. Deontay Wilder is on the same card later on, taking on fellow former world champion in Joseph Parker. And the British tennis player Tara Moore has been cleared of doping. She was suspended more than a year ago, but she's been cleared because a panel ruled that contaminated meat was the source of her failed test. Her sanction has now been lifted. She was, at the time of her suspension, Britain's #1 doubles tennis player, and her sanction has now been lifted and she is free to return to action. Talking of action, it's all coming this afternoon here on BBC Radio Newcastle. So Sunderland are at home to Coventry City this afternoon. If you want to listen to Nick Barnes and Gary Bennett go through the build-up of that one and then kick off at 3 o'clock, you need to be listening on Freeview Channel 719 or on digital radio on DAB. If it is Matthew Raisbeck and John Anderson at Kenilworth Road for Luton Town against Newcastle United that you want to listen to, then you have to be listening on our FM frequencies. They will both give you reminders throughout the afternoon, but now is the time to take your pick.
Matt Bailey at breakfast.
We are done for 2023. Thank you so much to everybody who has listened and got involved with the show. Joan, what's your issue with the cartoon character Mr. Ben?
A grown man goes into a changing room and he comes out as a character, goes off and has an adventure as that character. What a weirdo.
A lad I used to work with, someone nicknamed him Rubik after Rubik's Cube because I reckon he had a square head and it was all mixed up.
Have a good one and we'll see you in 2024.
Matt Bailey at breakfast.
Weekdays from 6. BBC Radio Newcastle.
Total Sport Northeast.
The sound of
Newcastle United.
Almiron gets it back from Bruno. Oh, what a goal! Miguel Almiron with an unbelievable volley. It's Wilson round the goalkeeper and into the net. And Byrne in the area. Dan Byrne! Oh! Dan Byrne's first Newcastle United goal.
Great sport kicks off here.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
Well, good afternoon again from Kenilworth Road, from Luton Town, a new ground for Newcastle United in the Premier League era, a new team that they're playing in the Premier League. It's Luton's first season in the top flight since the Premier League began, and a new experience for the 1,000 or so away supporters who have made the long journey south just before Christmas on a chilly and windy day. There's some clouds in the sky, but a bit of sunshine poking through on the far side, and a big opportunity for Eddie Howe and his players to get what would be only their second Premier League away victory of the season. The other memorably at Sheffield United, another of the promoted sides this year. And as it stands, Newcastle are dropping a place to 7th in the table. That's because West Ham are beating Manchester United 2-0 deep into injury time, and it means West Ham would go above them at least for a couple of hours, but a point or 3 points would see Newcastle climb back up to 6th today. And here come the players emerging from the tunnel on the far side. It is pretty close to the corner of the stand on the far side, the players' tunnel, and Newcastle will be wearing their navy blue and yellow change kit today, come jogging over to this near touchline and begin their warm-up. And it's the starting 11 who are out there at the moment, and that starting 11 shows 3 changes from Chelsea on Tuesday night in the League Cup, and it's Dubravka in goal, Trippier, Lascelles, Schär back from injury, and Byrne, Miley, Bruno, Longstaff, Almiron, Gordon and Wilson. Gordon shaking off a knock to his calf from that bad challenge on him at the start of the cup tie the other night, able to play. And Schär has overcome an issue with his glute. That's the problem that forced him off against Fulham. Other big news today is that Isak is back in the squad. He's on the bench after missing the last couple of games, and the other substitutes are Karius, Dummett, Botman, Ritchie, Kraft, Hall, Livramento and Alex Murphy. So it's Trippier, Schär and Byrne for Kraft, Botman and Livramento. 3 changes, all in defence, John Anderson. And really good to see Cher back, because it looked like he'd pulled his hamstring last week, but it wasn't a hamstring injury, and it's clearly not that bad, though there's no sign of Joe Linton today, who did go off against Fulham with a hamstring problem.
Yeah, it looked like Cher had done his hamstring. It looked like a real sniper's job. He just pulled up really, really sharp, which made you think that it's one of those. But he was feeling the top of his, almost into his buttock. So, and thankfully it's not too bad. He's back today. He likes to have a settled back four. He's gone back to the tried and tested, so to speak. With that I mean Trippier, Lascelles, Cher and Bourne. He knows what they're about. Bourne's height will be an added bonus today because of the way they Luton play. They've got big boys up front. They like to get crosses into the box. Livramento's done absolutely nothing wrong. He's been absolutely excellent. But he gets a little bit of a breather. And the bench looks strong as well. You know, obviously Botman's on there. Isak's back on there as well. Thought he might have been tempted to start Isak and give Wilson a little bit of a breather. Three games in the space of a week for Wilson. It's not known, is it? We very rarely see him start 3 games in a week, so it'll be interesting to see how he gets through these.
It's 4, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it is 4. Yeah,
AC Milan, so it's an extra one, which is, yeah, for a player that's already had 2 spells out injured this season, Callum Wilson. It's a big ask, but he's going to lead the line today. Isak back is massive, isn't it? Because they need more attacking options. It's one of the things they didn't have on the bench really at Chelsea the other night, and some of his substitutions were questioned, but I think particularly not bringing on Lewis Hall and preferring to introduce Matt Ritchie instead. But he didn't have those players available to him, and overall the squad today does look a lot better and a lot healthier. But Isak being back is part of that. How much we'll see of him today, though, we're not sure.
Well, you never know. It's good to have him back. He gives you that different option to Wilson. You know, he's not as physical as Wilson. He doesn't back into defenders. He doesn't want to go and battle centre halves and hold it up and bring other people into it. He likes to work the channels. He likes to get in down the sides. So he gives you that different option off the bench, and it's good to have him back.
The chant of Kieran Trippier over the wall from the away fans. We're pretty close to them, aren't we? Which is good.
It's tight ground. Yeah. It's a tight ground.
So hopefully it'll sound really noisy from that away end to our right. The Oak stand. That is the one, by the way, that you might have seen pictures of. It became quite a thing last season when Luton were going for a promotion that they eventually won. It's the one you have to enter, basically going through the houses on the far side behind the stand, because Kenilworth Road is boxed in on 3 sides by terraced houses, and on the far side behind the stand is a pretty busy main road. So they can't really do much there. It's pretty enclosed, this ground. But the Newcastle players warming up in the corner next to the away fans, and we're speaking to you today from a rebuilt stand, the Bobbers stand. It cost £10 million to redevelop it in the summer. It does have the feel of something quite temporary, though, I must say. We're on the gantry right at the top, and the wind is blowing at us from all angles. One of the team sheets that we were given a few minutes ago is just blown away onto the pitch. But we've got a pretty good view of the action today. We're just to the right of the halfway line. But Luton had to rebuild, Ando, this stand in the summer, and do it pretty quickly after promotion, winning the playoff final, in order to bring Kenilworth Road up to Premier League standards, particularly when it comes to media and camera positions. Some television cameras just to the left of us for things like replays and all the international broadcasters that are here. But you were just saying before we started our programme today that the rest of the stadium doesn't look much different to how you remember it.
No, not at all. It's a real throwback. That main stand on that far side, it was thought to Ray Thompson kit manager, and he was saying that the dressing rooms, they've got to get them in 6 at a time, that they've got all the skips packed up everywhere. He said that you couldn't swing a cat in the dressing room, so they obviously haven't changed over the years. Things definitely haven't changed. Look, it's not a big pitch, but the supporters are right on top of you here. I mean, we're virtually overlooking the pitch here.
Yeah, we're kind of hanging over the edge, aren't we?
I mean, this used to be boxes here. It looked really, really strange. It was a weird type of ground. Well, still weird, isn't it? when you think of modern football stadiums. But you can see that this was a rush job as well, and 10 million quid. Don't get an awful lot for your 10 million quid, mind you.
Well, what do you think of what Spurs paid to rebuild their ground? But no, they've done a pretty tidy job with it, Luton, this new stand, but they do still hope to move to a brand new stadium, which is yet to be built in the centre of the town. They're looking to basically double the capacity from the 11,500 that Kenilworth Road is to 23. And I think last we saw, most up-to-date information is that they would like to be in that new ground by 2026. So it would be a goodbye to an old-fashioned venue, but it is nice to come somewhere different, isn't it, in the Premier League? I said earlier that it's the 60th different ground for Newcastle for a Premier League fixture, but for a lot of fans it's the first time here, and quite a few of the players as well.
Yeah, I would imagine so. I would imagine there's not too many of them have played here in the past. As I say, it's tight, it's not the biggest pitch either. Can be a little bit intimidating as well. I mean, a good noise. You know, it was 12,000. Our away form in the Premier League this season hasn't been great. They've ran Manchester City close here, they ran Arsenal close here, drew at Liverpool, you know, so if you don't go about it right, they can be a little bit of a handful. I mean, they're not the prettiest in the world, but they work hard, they get the ball forward, and it'll be a battle.
Luton are in the relegation zone in the Premier League, and they're third bottom, 5 points from safety, but they almost dropped a place last night when Sheffield United nearly pulled off a massive result against Aston Villa, a game that finished 1-1. That would have changed things around at the bottom, but Luton with 2 wins so far, one of them here, which was against Crystal Palace, and then they've drawn at home with Wolves and Liverpool, who they almost beat. But their match last weekend was suspended and then abandoned, and will have to be replayed. The game away to Bournemouth following the cardiac arrest suffered by Luton's captain Tom Lockyer on the pitch. He went into hospital, had a procedure, and is now recovering at home. It's probably been an emotional time, hasn't it, John Anderson, for the Luton players, staff and supporters, and I'm sure they'll be doing what they can to show their love for Tom Lockyer today, and they're warming up with white t-shirts on that has his name and number on, Lockyer number 4.
Yeah, look, wish the young man all the best. It's the second time that it's happened to him in the playoff final at Wembley. You know, first and foremost, I suppose it puts football in perspective when you see something like that, like what happened. But thankfully he'll recover and he'll get well, and he'll be better for it. But yeah, look, they may feel they have a point to prove. They may well want to do it for him, which makes it even more of a dangerous game, I suppose. You know, just seeing them down there earlier on, they were in a huddle. So we need to go about it the right way, you know, and perfectly honest, our away form needs to be better. We need to try and find some of that spark that we see at St James's. We haven't really seen it away from home. I suppose the only one game we've seen, and that was Sheffield United, who were absolutely atrocious on the day, but that's been our best away performance of the season, you know, so we need to try and replicate some of our home form.
So Newcastle, 3 changes. Trippier, Schär and Byrne come in for Kraft, Botman, Livramento, and Isak is on the bench. Luton have made one change with Tom Lockyer unavailable. Gabriel Osho comes into the middle of defence in what is a back five for the home team. Thomas Kaminski is the goalkeeper. They signed him from Blackburn in the Championship in the summer. Then three centre-halves, Tenen Mengi, who was brought in from Manchester United. He's 21 years of age. Gabriel Osho, who scored in the playoff semi-final against Sunderland here last season. And Alfie Doughty are the central defenders, with Issa Kabore, who's on loan from Manchester City, a Burkina Faso international. He's at right wing back. Amari Bell at left wing back. Ross Barkley, who's got 5 Premier League goals against Newcastle and was brought in as a free agent in the summer, alongside Albert Sambi Lokonga, the Belgian, who's on loan from Arsenal, and he made his comeback in their 2-1 defeat by Manchester City a couple of weeks ago from almost 3 months on the sidelines with an injury. Andros Townsend, now 32 years of age and had half a season at Newcastle in 2016. He joined Luton in the autumn after a move to Burnley broke down. And Jacob Brown, a Scottish international who they signed from Stoke in the summer, he's got 3 goals. And then Elijah Adebayo, their leading goal scorer, with 4. That's the Luton team. And the bench, another former Newcastle player in Tim Krul. He ended up at Luton in the close season, 6 years on from leaving Newcastle permanently, Krul. And he's played twice, but only in the Cup so far. Kaminski is the #1 goalkeeper. Mads Anderson, Chidozie Ogbeni, the Irish international winger. Carlton Morris, a centre-forward who began the season in the team, but has been left out in recent times. Cauley Woodrow, Tahi Chong, Peli Ruddock Mpanzu, who you may know is the player that went from non-league to the Premier League with Luton and has been with them for 10 years. Jordan Clark and Ryan Giles, a left-back or wing-back who was signed from Wolves in the summer but played for Middlesbrough on loan last season. That's how the two teams look here at Kenilworth Road. I will hear the opposition perspective and a bit more about Luton in a couple of minutes' time, after we've heard from Eddie Howe, because Newcastle, while they beat Fulham in the Premier League last weekend, a very important result for them, have gone out of 2 competitions in a week. But Howe says they are not going to panic.
My discussions with everyone connected with the football club here and the running of the football club, there's never been that pressure of, this season or next season, in terms of positions in the league and expectations to win competitions. That's all come from us internally. Of course, there's an ambition, but there's a difference, I think, between an ambition and a sort of a target that's sort of on your back. I think everyone here wants to see growth. They want to see growth in the team. They want to see improvement. And of course, then longer term, those thoughts, I'm sure, will change to tangible targets and to set things that we have to do. But at this moment in time, we start from such a low base that we're just trying to build, and which we've built really quickly. And from my mind, we want to increase that speed. Everything has to come tomorrow, but there needs to be a realisation of where we're at also.
John Anderson, there is undoubted disappointment at what happened against AC Milan and then Chelsea as well, which was really agonising to be so close to winning and then to go out on penalties. But Eddie Howe's point there, they started from a low base and they've progressed really quickly. And you cannot disagree with that when you see the progress they've made in just over 2 years. They are way ahead of schedule, and they're still in a really strong position in the Premier League this season, despite all the challenges that they've had during the campaign so far.
Yeah, look, the Chelsea defeat was a difficult one to take, because even though Chelsea had an awful lot of the ball, you never felt that Chelsea were going to score. Chelsea never looked like scoring. Saying that, we never looked like scoring. It was 2 individual mistakes for both the goals from Chelsea's point of view and obviously from our point of view. And then when it goes to penalties, it's all about who keeps their nerve You would have to say that the penalties Chelsea took were absolutely superb. You know, no keeper saving them. But it's gone. You know, no good reflecting on it. You've got to get over it. The same with the Champions League. You know, it was a great start to that Champions League campaign, but we just came up against sides who had a bit more nous, who had a bit more experience in that competition. You know, and once you've been in it, you want to do it again. But as I said earlier, in order to do that, we need to find our feet away from home. You know, we need to start winning games away from home. Our home form's been excellent, and we need to try and replicate our home form on the road.
Yeah, they've lost their last 3 away fixtures: Newcastle, Bournemouth, Everton, and Spurs. That's in the Premier League, obviously. And apart from the 8-0 win at Sheffield United, hasn't been great on the road. They've scored just 6 times in the other 7 Premier League away fixtures, but maybe this is the day where that changes up against third bottom Luton. It'll be live here on BBC Radio Newcastle as usual. We bring you every Newcastle United match exclusively live. Today we've also got Sunderland at home to Coventry in the Championship, and the Sunderland match with Nick Barnes and Gary Bennett is going to be on DAB and Freeview channel 719, so that's where you need to go to if you're listening to us but you are looking for the Sunderland coverage. Dubravka, Trippier, Lascelles, Cher, Byrne, Miley, Bruno, Longstaff, Almiron, Gordon, Wilson, and a bench of Karius, Dummett, Botman, Ritchie, Isak back from injury, Kraft, Hall, Livramento, and teenage defender Alex Murphy. Let's find out a little bit more about how things have been going here at Luton this season. We've been speaking shortly before we started our build-up live from Kenilworth Road to Simon Oxley from our sister station BBC Three Counties Radio, who cover Luton, and Simon is the Luton Town commentator. I began by asking him about what's been a tough and emotional week for everyone at the club here following what happened to Tom Lockyer last Saturday at Bournemouth.
I think immensely difficult for, obviously for his teammates, for supporters who were there and those who weren't, for everybody associated with the club, but obviously most of all for his family, and a huge amount of relief that he was able to leave hospital this week. He's had a procedure which is the same that Christian Eriksen had, which has obviously started people thinking, might he play again? But that is a long way down the road. And the moment he collapsed, people knew there was an issue because of what happened at Wembley, you know, and it's the second time. So difficult week, I think. But the fact that he's back at home, he seems to be, on the basis that he's been released from hospital, on the mend, so to speak, I think allows us to focus, you know, not to say just focus on the football, because, you know, it's been a huge thing that's happened, but focus on the football, but at the same time, you know, let him know, which I'm sure supporters will, with their, you know, vocal support, that he is very much in everybody's thoughts still.
It could be an emotionally charged Kenilworth Road today because of that, couldn't it?
I think so, and the thing is, and I've seen a number of, you know, that's one of the nice things about social media in these situations, is that the number of people who've, you know, commented that, you know, they've got issues of their own. I saw one from a fan whose young son was at Bournemouth, and some years ago he'd seen his father have a heart attack, and there's another one where I've just seen yesterday somebody whose grandfather has passed away this week. So people have got their own issues going on, which this may just trigger because of the nature of it. And, you know, his life was saved on the pitch. There's no question about that. So it's very difficult to know how supporters, because normally game before Christmas, there's Father Christmas, carols, mince pies, all the rest of it, and you know we enjoy the football and all that goes with it. But it will be interesting today because people have their own experiences they can bring.
We're talking by the side of the pitch, and on the far side of Kenilworth Road is the stand that was rebuilt over the summer following Luton's promotion to the Premier League. That's where we'll be commentating from this afternoon. It's obviously changed the way that the stadium looks, but I imagine that the atmosphere has still been really noisy and intense this season, and a lot of teams have come here, big teams, and not had it easy, have they?
It is different. There is no doubt about that. You know, away fans, as has been well documented, come in, you know, overlooking people's back gardens, all that sort of thing. So the 1,000 or so Newcastle fans that are over in the Oak Road end will have, you know, gone over people's back gardens and almost through their houses. And, you know, it's very close up to the side of the pitch. And the stand over on the far side, you know, was the old executive boxes people might remember seeing. Because the TV cameras used to be sort of looking across to there. They switched sort of a couple of seasons ago to sort of look into the main stand, so it gives it slightly different perspective. But yeah, no, it was a whole rebuild job over the summer. I mean, they had plans in place, but nothing could actually be put in motion until that penalty sailed over the crossbar at Wembley, and then, you know, 3 months later we have that, you know, that structure up, seating, facilities in there, because you know, it's for us. It's the media that drive a lot of that, because, you know, there'll be 100 or so along that top row, maybe slightly fewer today, but, you know, on the live TV games, you know, a huge amount of press interest. That's in every Premier League game, but obviously Newcastle are big news, as you all know.
And lastly, Simon, on the pitch, how have Luton handled themselves overall this season?
They've grown into it, I think it's fair to say. You know, they did find it difficult to start with, but certainly here they've been very competitive, and in all games, to be honest. You know, drawn with Liverpool here, ran Arsenal very, very, very close. Manchester City close, but, you know, ultimately obviously lost both those games. You know, away from home they've been competitive. They took the lead last week. You know, they're getting there, but it's still a big ask. We know that. You know, they have to be at the top of their game, and the opposition has to be slightly off it for them, really, if we're being honest. But you know, Ross Barkley's been a key figure. You know, I'm sure Newcastle will have come across him down the years. You know, he's back at it, I think it's fair to say. So he's a key figure, and his re-emergence has sort of coincided with them getting used to life in the top flight.
That's the Luton Town perspective from Simon Oxley, the commentator at BBC Three Counties Radio. Just over 10 minutes until kick-off. Luton's players heading back inside, having to walk through the sprinklers that have just burst into action, and giving the pitch some moisture ahead of kick-off. And I think we're going to get a bit of it in a second, Ando, as the wind picks up and the water comes our way now. The players having to dodge them as they make their way down the tunnel. Newcastle's boys went inside about 2 or 3 minutes ago. The away supporters are in terrific voice to our right-hand side. They've got about 2/3 of the Oak stand behind that goal. And they've been serenading Kieran Trippier in particular during the warm-up. Dubravka, Trippier, Lascelles, Cher, Byrne, Miley, Bruno, Longstaff, Almiron, Gordon and Wilson is the team. Isak is on the bench. It would be great if they were celebrating an away win come full time. And the Premier League table's changed, Ando, because of that early kick-off, as we were discussing earlier. West Ham with a victory over Manchester United. Maybe not a big surprise, but it's West Ham that have gone above Newcastle now, so they've dropped a place before kicking off today.
Yeah, well, I mean, the only way we were going to stay where we were was if it was going to be a draw. So if either of those sides had a won, they were going to go above us. Look, it's no good keep worrying about other people. You've just got to keep doing your own thing, trying to win games. As I said earlier, away form has got to improve. You know, we're making life difficult for ourselves away from home. It's a different scenario at St James. You know, we see teams off relatively easily, in relative comfort, but away from home, for whatever reason, we haven't been able to replicate that type of form. So hopefully it'll start today, because I mean, obviously we've got these today, we've got Forest on the 26th, and then when you get into the new year, it gets a little bit more interesting with the games that we've got coming up.
Yeah, it does. Liverpool New Year's Day, obviously a derby. They've got Manchester City and Aston Villa in the Premier League as well next month. But here, away to Luton, first Premier League meeting between the sides. Newcastle chasing a second away win in the league this season. The form on their travels has definitely been an issue. They played a bit differently at Chelsea the other night and almost got the perfect result.
We'll always tweak our in-game performance and our way of playing, depending on the opponent, depending on the game. Now, this was a game where it was another game in a very tight schedule where we felt we just wanted to try and save some energy, play a slightly different way. And I thought defensively we were outstanding. We were really, really good and very close to winning. And that's where the away form is a bit of a strange one for me, because you look at the PSG result, the Chelsea performance, the Manchester United performance. I don't think there's anything wrong with our performances away. But the results in the Premier League will obviously tell you different. And of course we need to switch that, and we need to win games. But I don't think fundamentally there's a problem. I think it's maybe coincidence, just maybe one of those things, but of course we need to put it right.
You go to Luton this weekend. Firstly, I'm sure you want to send your best wishes to Tom Lockyer, their captain, who won't be available, but is now at home recovering after suffering cardiac arrest on the pitch at Bournemouth last weekend.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, watching the game as it did, that was a really difficult moment for everybody connected with Luton, and Tom's himself is the most important thing. His family really puts football into perspective. Really, his health is paramount. Of course, it's the second time it's happened. We want to send him our best wishes from everyone connected with Newcastle.
What do you make of the way Luton have performed at home this season? Because they've run a couple of the big teams in Arsenal and Manchester City very close, and they were seconds away, I think, from beating Liverpool. It was probably expected to be a tough place to go, and I suppose the results prove that.
Yeah, very difficult place to go. I've been there many times as a player. Looking forward to the game tomorrow. I think the games at home have been interesting, because if you go back through them individually, they ran Manchester City very close. Couldn't have run Arsenal much closer, and that game was seesawing both ways. Got a really good draw against Liverpool and competed very well. And I think first and foremost, they have competed well in every game. They've been physically very good, fully committed to how they play. I think Rob's done a brilliant job there. And knowing the stadium as I do, you know that it's never going to be an easy game for us. So we're going to have to be absolutely at our best to win this game.
Just want to ask you lastly, you play on the 23rd and then again on Boxing Day. What will you do on Christmas Day as a squad? Will you be in training, or will they have the day off?
No, they'll be in for a short period of time in the morning.
Total Sport North East.
Matthew Raisbeck and black and white legend John Anderson.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
No rest for the players then on Christmas Day, says Eddie Howe. Training session in the morning for the Newcastle squad. Teams will be with us in just a second. The tunnel's on the far side, so some of the staff and subs are making their way over to the bench. The two benches which are on this side, just to our left. In the away section there is a banner which says "Get well soon, Tom," and it's been held up by some of the Newcastle fans at the front of the stand. Get well soon, Tom, NUFC, with black and white sending their best wishes to Luton's Tom Lockyer, and it drew a big round of applause from the home supporters in the Luton sections. Teams are in the tunnel, and we await their arrival at Kenilworth Road. It's absolutely packed, isn't it, Ando? And it's going to be nice to sample the atmosphere here today, isn't it? A new ground to the Premier League, but somewhere very different.
Yeah, as I said, I mean, the crowd's right on top of you. It's a real compact stadium, not the biggest pitch. The crowd really get involved, and when it's going well for Luton, they make some noise. Hopefully we'll be able to quieten them down today.
Newcastle United with the opportunity to go back up to 6th in the Premier League table if they can get at least a point today. Luton looking to move closer to 4th bottom Nottingham Forest. The gap is 5 points at the moment, and Forest are coming to St James's Park at lunchtime on Boxing Day. Luton with one change today, and it's in defence. In place of Tom Lockyer is Gabriel Osho. So it's Thomas Kaminski in goal, Tedin Mengi, Gabriel Osho and Alfie Doughty at centre-back, with Issa Kabore and Amari Bell, the two wing-backs. Ross Barkley, Albert Sambula Konga in midfield, Andros Townsend, Jacob Brown and Elijah Adebayo, who scored in the abandoned match against Bournemouth, but also has another 4 goals to his name this season. Here they are then, Luton and Newcastle United, the home team, captained today by Amari Bell, and Jamal Lascelles, the Newcastle United skipper. The players line up across the halfway line and face the stand on the far side of the pitch. Newcastle, Dubravka, Trippier, Lascelles, Cher, Byrne, Miley, Bruno, Longstaff, Almiron, Gordon came off in the 52nd minute at Chelsea, and Wilson, whose last Premier League goals, Callum Wilson, were at Wolves on the 28th of October. 3 changes, Byrne, Cher and Trippier are the 3 who come into the side named by Eddie Howe, and with the error leading to the goal the other night, then missing a penalty in the shootout, following on from some mistakes in the defeat by Everton, it has been a tough time for Kieran Trippier.
Being one of the leaders of the group, he is a very strong character. He's a standard setter, he's a role model, so everyone will look to him as they will do the other leaders in the group. But I don't think it's been any different. I think we've all been in these positions before, and I think just the team has to carry the weight forward, and we need a response against Luton, and I think that's loads of different ways to analyse Tuesday night, and ultimately we drew the game. We didn't lose the game. I know there's that feeling of course we've gone out the cup. I'm not trying to sort of bend the truth, but as I said, there's a lot of good to take from it, and we've exited 2 competitions. If there is a way to exit it, we've exited it in the right way, giving everything, and couldn't ask any more of the players. So I feel we have to be reflective of that and sort of analyse that properly, and then move forward positively.
John Anderson, it's a big day for Kieran Trippier. It feels like there'll be some attention on him, but he's very, very capable of coping with that, isn't he?
He's not a young boy.
Yeah.
You know, he's an experienced international player. He's 33 years of age. He's made mistakes in the past. He'll make mistakes in the future. There's not a player goes through a career without making mistakes. His have been a bit unfortunate because they've let the goals, and the problem you have when you're a defender or a goalkeeper, if you make a mistake, ball usually ends up in the back of the net. If you're a forward and you miss chances, you know you're always going to get another chance, and you can then redeem yourself by scoring a goal. So look, will it play in his mind? No, I don't think so. I think he's got too much experience, he's got too much nous about him to let it bother him.
Teams are ready. Newcastle go into a huddle. Luton lining up, and we are almost ready to go here from Kenilworth Road, live on BBC Radio Newcastle and NUFC TV. They are going to be in their away kit, which is navy shirts, yellow shorts and socks. Dubravka in light blue. Luton orange shirts with a white panel down the left side, navy shorts and orange socks, and goalkeeper Kaminski in green. The referee is Darren England from South Yorkshire, who was the 4th official at Chelsea on Tuesday. VAR is Peter Banks, and Newcastle United through Bruno Guimaraes kick us underway at a noisy Kenilworth Road on BBC Radio Newcastle, and they are shooting towards the goal to our left. Martin Dubravka has the away fans for company in the first half. They've got a throw on the left wing. Infield it comes, Bruno forwards. Long clearance by Luton. Cher lets it go. Lascelles back to the keeper. Dubravka takes a touch and passes it straight out to Lascelles. Cher then into midfield. Wilson dropping in to turn his man and roll in Longstaff over halfway. It's decent by Newcastle. Longstaff challenged by Gabriel Osho.
Don't know what he's claiming, Longstaff. Just got out-muscled.
Callum Wilson was strong in the build-up to send Longstaff away, but Luton regained possession of the ball. And this is Osho in the centre of defence to Kabore, the right wing, back into the area. Jacob Brown with a touch, clearance by Newcastle. Ross Barkley hooks it out to the far left side. And Luton through Alfie Doughty up to Brown. Alba Sambi-Lokonga on halfway with Ross Barkley exchanging passes. Sambi-Lokonga, the on-loan Arsenal player, towards the near side, and Kabore again for Andros Townsend. Left-footed curling ball in, and it's put behind. It's going to be a corner for Luton. Jacob Brown went for it at the near post, and it was Jamal Lascelles with an outstretched leg that steered it past the post.
Yeah, it was good defending. It could have went anywhere though, couldn't it? It's a wicked ball whipped in. Near post. He's done well to get something on it, Lascelles. As I say, he could have put it in his own net. Thankfully, he put it wide of that left-hand post.
So on the near side, the Luton right, Alfie Doughty, who's playing at left wing back with Amari Bell, actually is one of the centre halves today. Next to the Newcastle fans, left-footed corner kick delivered. Lascelles with the clearance again, headed straight back out to Doughty. He teases it in there. It's another Lascelles clearance with a header. Put back in by Luton. Cleared as far as Sambi-Lokonga. And he heads forwards down the left. This is Adebayo. Taking on Trippier, gets away from him and then runs the ball out of play. And the ball's gone out. And then the referee...
Ball was a mile out.
Ball was a mile out. The assistant's flag was up, but the referee just let things go. Newcastle stopped. Luton tried to play on. It's going to be
a fair play to them because the whistle didn't go.
Yeah. It's a goal kick in the 4th minute. Martin Dubravka in front of the post at the right of his goal. Looking for Wilson, headed down by Luton. Bruno's got it. Burn inside to Fabian Schär, back from injury, having missed the Chelsea match. Trippier volleyed up towards Almiron on the stretch, can't get there. And it's Bell towards Brown. Adebayo in the box. Jacob Brown goes for goal at the near side. And it's a comfortable, easy save for Dubravka.
Yeah, good hit, straight down the throat. Dubravka, though, comfortable take for him.
Schär back to the keeper, too high for Almiron, header by Bell. Barkley to Doughty, and now as the clock moves into the 5th minute, Luton fans rise and sing the name of Tom Lockyer, their captain. Newcastle fans join in with the applause. Ball is played down the right wing. It might go for a United goal kick. Dan Burn lets it run.
Boy, he was onside as well. Kabore was onside, thought he was offside, didn't go for it.
Luton 0, Newcastle 0 on BBC Radio Newcastle. Martin Dubravka, goal kick. It's a long ball into the Luton half. Trippier tries to head it on, away it comes. Bruno's got it. And Trippier in a challenge on the far side. Doughty away with the ball into Adebayo, looking for Brown. Miley mops up. Longstaff up to Wilson. Hop backing into his man. Does very well to hold it up. Back to Miley. Good ball to Longstaff. Bruno just behind the halfway line in the centre circle. Gordon in the middle. And Longstaff to Trippier. Plays it back to Lascelles. Bruno to the goalkeeper. In the middle of the Newcastle half. Dubravka finds Burn and he nods it back to Schär, edge of the area, closed down by Townsend. Miley, first time to Byrne. Down the line to Gordon, brings it in. It's a heavy touch from Gordon. He's made a second challenge, then another one. And Lascelles at the edge of the penalty box to the wide right position to Trippier. Down the line, takes a touch off a Luton player. Almiron tries to win it back. The home team have possession through Ross Barkley. 7th minute. Newcastle yet to really get forwards. Bruno on the shoulder of Barkley, stopping him from going forwards with it. It's now with Bell, and then inside to Barkley, who's positioned as a centre-back here when he received the ball. Doughty to Barkley again, near to the corner of Luton's penalty area. Newcastle charge down the ball forwards. Bruno's got it, right side of central midfield. Miley holds off Brown, back to Byrne, then gives Dan Byrne an angle. Lewis Miley on it again. 10 yards outside the area, switches it to Trippier. Almiron down the line. Trippier's cross is stabbed away, and there's only Adebayo for Luton here on halfway. Trippier tries to challenge. Adebayo still has it. Feeds Doughty on the left wing. They've got 3, now 4 in the Newcastle box. The ball comes in, Fabian Schär heads clear. Almiron chests it down, finds Longstaff, and looks for the feet of Wilson. But it's won by Teden Mengi, the Luton centre-back. How do you think the match has started, Ando?
Yeah, I mean, Luton have started on the front foot, no doubt about it. They've had the better of it. We found it difficult to get out of our own half. Putting a lot of pressure on, squeezing high.
It's a goal kick for Dubravka from a forward ball that went behind on the near side. Wilson in the centre forward position, but they send it out to the left towards Gordon and Byrne. It's a Luton header. Then Bruno holding off a couple of players, up to Wilson, laid off to Gordon, couldn't take it in his stride, and then the ball spins loose in the middle of midfield. Barkley gets there, drops it off to Sambi Lokonga. And Amari Bell, far side of the pitch for Luton. Bruno's almost nicked it from Barkley, who recovered well and has set Luton on their way forwards. Townsend to Brown, left side of the penalty area. Jacob Brown with a shot blocked by Trippier. He's got it again, Brown. Now approaching the box once more. Wide left to Doughty, swings it in. It's going to beat the players in the middle. Issa Kabore tries to keep it in, but it's gone out for a throw. They find Miley, pushed down the line towards Gordon, but Gordon had run infield, and out it goes. Luton's ball, 0-0. If you're looking for the Sunderland match, then that's on DAB and Freeview channel 719 with Nick Barnes and Gary Bennett, the commentary against Coventry. Here Luton 0-0 with Newcastle. Sambi Lokonga, that's a good run. Carried the ball a good 15-20 yards. Tries to combine with Doughty on the far side. Newcastle win it back, then they lose it again, and Lascelles concedes a corner. Elsewhere, Richarlison's given Spurs a 1-0 lead over Everton. They got in again there, Luton.
Yeah, causing 1 or 2 problems, aren't they? As I said beforehand, they like to get it in wide areas, they like to stick crosses in. Got to stand up big and strong.
Here's the corner for Luton, who've lost their last 3 Premier League matches, 2 of them here. Towards the 6-yard box, Bruno away, and the referee has spotted something. It was a foul by Ross Barkley on Bruno Guimaraes. Free kick for Newcastle United in the 11th minute. First meeting between the clubs in almost 6 years. There was an FA Cup tie that you might remember in the Rafa Benitez era at St James's. Newcastle won 3-1 in the 3rd round in 2018. But Newcastle haven't been here since 1994 in the FA Cup when they lost 2-0. Townsend, as Luton win it back from the Newcastle goal kick, and Townsend's shot is so high it lands on the roof of the stand on the far side, and there's actually a hole in the stand so that when the ball goes onto the roof, when it rolls down the angled top of the stand, it falls through a gap, and it did that, and Martin Dubravka's got it back.
Unlucky if you got your seat under there, isn't it, if it rains?
Yeah. Or if you get hit on the head by one of those dropping balls. Dubravka looking for Wilson. Osho defends well against him. And Gabriel Osho at the back, signed him from Reading a few years ago. He's also played in non-league, like quite a few of the Luton team have at various points in their career. Fabian Schär, great defending on the far side. Won the ball, kept it in and found Bruno. Now back to Byrne. Schär again, just in front of Newcastle's box. Pushed out to Trippier, a bit of space behind the halfway line. Into the centre to Bruno. Good ball by Trippier. Bruno looks for Almiron on the right wing. And back it comes to Trippier. 0-0 the score. Schär forwards to Bruno. Away from Barkley. Trippier back to Lascelles. Bruno's got it again, really trying to make things happen in midfield, but they can't go forwards with it, Newcastle, and Bruno's almost given it away with a pass back towards Schär that Townsend very nearly pinched.
Yeah, they're sharp, aren't they? They're onto anything that's short, closing down. Got to be sharper in what we do.
Trippier with a throw to Wilson, backing into his man, takes it on his chest.
Well played.
Helps it out to Gordon. Brilliant work from Wilson, who's done the physical stuff so far. Byrne up there with him. Gordon cuts in off the left wing, rolls it forwards to Almiron, back to goal, holds it up. Now Miley into the centre to Bruno, 35 yards out, looking for Trippier in the area, heads it into the middle. No flag.
Oh, no flag.
Luton haven't got it clear. Trippier back through for Longstaff, fires it into the box. It's blocked, it's come back to Longstaff. Now here's Lewis Miley, blocked. Another Newcastle effort, takes a deflection, and Wilson trying to get a header towards the goal. Goal kick given by Darren England as the ball just goes wide.
Whoa. He looked offside. VAR would have got involved in that one, Razor.
Yeah, we've got VAR again tonight, today, having not had it at Chelsea. They had a couple of nibbles there, though, didn't they?
Yeah. Best bit of play from us.
First real attack in the 14th minute. Miley back to Schär, standing behind the centre circle. Lascelles for Wilson to try and chase after. And the assistant referee says that Wilson was offside when the ball was played. Darren Cann on the far side, Neil Davies, the assistant, on the near side. Anthony Taylor, by the way, is the fourth official. Darren England, the referee. Thomas Kaminski, Belgian goalkeeper. Lascelles with a header from Kaminski's free kick. Byrne forwards Wilson, bit of space in the centre circle, back to Bruno, having a look. Ball didn't go forwards early, and instead it's gone backwards to Lascelles. His pass is charged down by Adebayo. Trippier to Dubravka, controls it, sidesteps Adebayo and sends it down the right wing. Bell with a header straight to Almiron, who just backed off and did well. Miley now to Gordon. Got Byrne down the line. Gordon into the feet of Bruno in the centre. Bruno carrying it. Still got it now, edge of the box. Longstaff looking for Wilson. It's come to Miley. Byrne just outside the box. Gordon on the corner of the area. Back to Byrne, and Gordon again. Anthony Gordon into the middle. Lascelles in the Luton half for Bruno. Almiron on the far touchline, 0-0, 16th minute. Looking for another Newcastle shirt, finds Trippier. Bruno back to halfway to Cher. Luton have forced Newcastle away from their penalty box. Lascelles up to Longstaff, helping it on towards Wilson. Didn't get much on the ball, and Luton win it back and play it to the goalkeeper. Away from Kaminski. Trippier down for Bruno, and having a little bit more possession now.
Yeah, all of a sudden starting to get a little bit more of the ball.
Lascelles, right side of the centre circle, on halfway. Bruno back to Cher. Townsend goes to close down Byrne, who moves it on to Gordon. Takes a touch, challenge comes in from Kabore. Gordon gets up and comes away with it. Kabore recovers. Gordon's back on the floor but is okay. Newcastle have possession. Lascelles just in front of the penalty box. Plays it back to Cher. Byrne available to the left. Byrne back to Cher. Townsend chasing, doing shuttle runs between the two of them as Newcastle move it into midfield to Miley. Byrne now to Bruno. On to Lascelles, who can bring it forwards. And he does. And then it's Trippier on halfway. Now Longstaff to Bruno. Back to Longstaff in the Luton half of the field. Cher to the goalkeeper. Dubravka first time ball to Byrne. Gordon down the line, Miley making a run. It's up to Wilson, who holds it and then holds off Osho. Longstaff to Bruno. Oh, lovely, through the legs of Barkley. Almiron takes on the ball down the left side. Miley, Almiron on the overlap. Miley now into Longstaff, controls it and goes wide right to Trippier, 20 yards out, 0-0. Bruno Guimaraes back out to Trippier on the wide position. Lascelles on halfway now, dominating possession of the ball, Newcastle. And Cher up to the edge of the penalty area to Gordon on the near side, takes a touch, delivers the cross. Wilson goes for it. It's come down to Almiron, has a couple of touches, and then Bruno, deflected effort. It's a corner. It's a corner on the left.
Ooh.
Why did you say ooh?
I felt that.
Oh,
felt that.
Where it hit the player.
Yeah.
Although Newcastle are saying that it hit a hand. That's what Bruno was appealing for. You were just having a look at the replay. Did you see a potential handball there? They haven't taken the corner yet.
Haven't seen it again.
Peter Banks is the VAR. And referee Darren England is going to tell Newcastle to take the corner, which they've done on the near side. Gordon and Trippier. Now Gordon with a cross from deep. Callum Wilson saved! Wilson with a header, point blank range, straight at Kaminski. It's another corner.
It's got to score. He just heads it straight at him. He's not offside either.
And then the save from Kaminski's hit a defender and gone behind. And a corner on the far side, but they should score.
Yeah, it's a decent save, but he should score.
It's Luton 0, Newcastle 0 on BBC Radio Newcastle, but that's a huge, huge chance that normally when it's Wilson ends up in the net. Trippier's corner, swung over to the back of the box towards Byrne, behind again, and goal kick is the decision. Everton are 2-0 up on Spurs are 2-0 up on Everton. I beg your pardon. Son has got the second goal. Goal kick for Luton. Kaminski. He's got two defenders in the box. Newcastle 3 on the edge of the area. It's Doughty on the far touchline. High ball towards Adebayo. Lascelles wins the knockdown with a header. Townsend collects, runs into Bruno. The home team still have it. Now Kabore going on the outside of Byrne, delivers the cross to Bravka, diving. Whoa.
That's one for the camera.
He was at full stretch on the 6-yard line and landing on the ball while it was on the floor. That was interesting goalkeeping, but it worked. Then they play it out from the back and lose it. Longstaff wins it from Barkley. Miley then protects the ball, plays it back to Cher. Bruno to Longstaff. Lascelles on the 18-yard line. To the left to Cher. Miley with a header on. Gordon won't get there. It's Mengi forwards. And Townsend into the box towards Brown, who's headed the ball down, but Longstaff for Newcastle onto Almiron, knocks it on the outside, and a chance to take on Bell. Forwards for the run of Longstaff in the final third on the far side. Back to Almiron, Bruno in central midfield, and they're coming over to this near left-hand side. Gordon available on the wing, Byrne there as well, and the big man gets it, moves it on to Gordon, to the feet of Miley, who takes it away down the left wing. Then
well played, well played.
It back to Gordon, a couple of touches, then across from Gordon. It's a good ball in, but it was behind Wilson, and there was nobody arriving late.
He didn't gamble, did he, Almiron? Just stayed out, needed to get on his bike. As you say, it's not the worst ball played in.
Eddie Howe pacing the technical area with hands in pockets. He's now joined by Jason Tyndall. Seen Callum Wilson come really close in the first quarter of the match. 23rd minute, 0-0. John Anderson, how has the match changed in the last 5 or 10 minutes?
I think we weathered the early storm, started to play ourselves into it, starting to get on top. Big chance for Wilson. As you said, you would have expected him to score.
What about the threat from Luton at the other end?
After the first 10-15 minutes, it's dried up a little bit. They haven't been
Dan Byrne with a header away and out from a long ball up the right touchline, this near side. And the ball at the back for Luton. Bell whip down the far touchline, straight onto the head of Kieran Trippier. Here's Lascelles trying to find Wilson. It's a header up by Mengi. And back Luton go to Kaminski into the Newcastle half with a high ball. Lascelles. Brown's ended up on the floor in the challenge. No free kick. Play on, says Darren England, with the home team in possession. And this is a good burst from Doughty. It's a great run into Newcastle territory, and he wins a corner off Trippier.
Yeah, he was allowed to run a long way, wasn't he? Got away from Almiron and just kept going.
And Nottingham Forest are down to 10 men. Willie Bolly, the centre-back, has been sent off. It's a second yellow card, so he'll miss the match on Boxing Day against Newcastle, won't he, Willie Bolly, the Forest player. 0-0 here with a Luton corner, left-footed, out-swinger, and headed across goal and nodded in by Andros Townsend. And the former United player has given the home team the lead, scoring in front of the away fans. The corner headed on across the goal. Townsend, free header, and in the 26th minute, it's Luton Town 1, Newcastle United 0.
Well, we spoke about set pieces beforehand. Didn't deal with the initial corner kick. It gets flicked on, and it's, you wouldn't say it's a strongest suit, would you, Townsend heading, but he's just stood at the back post all on his own. Free header, straight into the back of the net. Just when you thought that we'd weathered the storm from them.
Big chance, Newcastle for Wilson, straight at the keeper, spurned at one end, and now at the other. They concede, headed on by Ross Barkley in the middle of the box. Barkley was in between Lascelles and Bruno, and then Townsend was free, and he wasn't going to miss. So they're going to come back, but Luton haven't kept a clean sheet in the Premier League, so they do concede goals. Far from ideal, though.
Yeah, as I said, just when you thought that we'd weathered it and played ourselves into it, and we're starting to get on top of the game, he just gets in between the two, gets it. Barkley gets in between Guimaraes and Lascelles, gets a header on it. He's not going to miss from there.
It's out for a Luton throw on the far side. Earlier I mentioned Willie Bowley sent off for Nottingham Forest. They're playing Bournemouth, and it's 0-0. And the only other goals in the Premier League in the 3 o'clocks are the 2 for Spurs against Everton. Dan Burn heads the ball down. They try to get it in behind him for Kabore. Miley dispossesses Townsend, who challenges Gordon. Back to Burn. Bruno to share. Forwards to Longstaff, played their way out of a tight spot very well, Newcastle. Longstaff to Almiron, holds off the attentions of a couple of Luton players, combines with Gordon, back to Burn, now Bruno. Share in the box, over towards Trippier. And they pass their way into midfield now. Bruno behind the centre circle to Burn. Share again, 28 minutes, 1-0 to Luton. Bruno was tripped there by Albert Sambi-Lokonga. This is the free kick which Martin Dubravka will take. It's close to the centre circle. Share and Lascelles go forwards. Through the middle, they're looking for Burn at the edge of the box. Brown with the
offside.
Header. And Dan Burn must have been offside. So that comes to nothing. And Kaminski, free kick. Edge of the Luton penalty area. His defenders are pushing up towards halfway. The players just a couple of yards either side of the halfway line. The ball is aimed towards the Luton left wing. Lascelles comes from a long way to head it on. Wilson trying to knock it down for Almiron. Luton with a couple of players getting touches on the ball. Doughty, whose run led to that corner that created the goal for Adebayo, who's gone down, no foul, but Brown has kept them on the attack. In the corner on the far side, back to Barkley. Sambi-Lokonga and Barkley again, now a bit deeper in midfield. To Doughty. Bell on the far touchline. Newcastle have forced Luton back to halfway. Then Barkley's given it away to Lewis Miley, having his shirt pulled, and the whistle's gone. Take the free kick from the correct position in midfield. Dubravka headed on by Trippier down the right wing. Almiron there with Bell. It's gone out off the defender's touch, and they want to take a quick throw, which they do. Longstaff makes the run towards the goal line. Longstaff,
you got to be stronger, you got to stand up.
He's ended up on the floor, and the ball's gone behind for a goal kick.
every time he feels the slightest little touch, he just falls over.
He was tracked by Barkley. Newcastle trailing to the Andros Townsend goal. It's his first for Luton. Not getting on with their goal kicks and free kicks since going in front in a hurry. Whistle's just gone, telling Kaminski to restart the match, and he does. Long ball forwards, Trippier heads it to Dubravka, picks it up. Puts the ball back onto the floor. Driven through the middle, Wilson chesting it down, fouled, pushed in the back by Gabriel Osho. Free kicks in the centre circle, but ahead of halfway. 32 minutes. On a windy and chilly day in Bedfordshire. Fabian Schär under pressure, turns away, finds Byrne Miley. Lovely flick down the line for Gordon. Into Bruno in space. On halfway, looking for Wilson. Osho steps up to win it, but it's come back to Bruno. Trippier now with Longstaff down the line. And it's cut out by Doughty. The ball aimed towards Longstaff. Barkley in the centre. Townsend. Wide right to Issa Kabore. Home fans excited by that move, and Kabore's given it straight to Miley. Now Bruno, only Wilson ahead of him. Bruno dispossessed by Sambi Lokonga. Bell away from Longstaff. Sambi Lokonga approaching the penalty area. Plays it to Brown. Barkley with a go from a long way out. He's hit the underside of the bar.
What an effort that is.
And it's come down and hit Dubravka, and then the goalkeeper is able to gather the ball. They're fortunate it didn't hit Dubravka and go the other way. That's some hit from Ross Barkley.
Oh dear, how lucky are we? What a strike that is.
Wow.
And then he gets lucky again, because if that hits him smack on the back, that ends up in the back of the net.
Would have been an incredible goal. It's hit the woodwork, and Newcastle are grateful that they are only 1-0 down. Bruno tackled by Adebayo, but he was fouled before that. The free kick taken quickly. Schär to Byrne. Gordon closed down by Kabore, looking for Miley. Miley challenged, and then he's won it back. He's had some good moments again.
Yeah, he's played well today. Wants the ball. His decision-making's good.
Lascelles out to the right wing, but it's ahead of Longstaff and kept in by Doughty, who holds off Longstaff and Almiron's challenges. Barkley towards Mengi. That's a bit of a wasteful ball forwards under pressure, mind. Lascelles to Almiron, and then Bruno. Almiron again, back to Schär. Luton lead 1-0. BBC Radio Newcastle. Trying to find Wilson down the right. It's back to the goalkeeper from Luton. Wilson closes down. Kaminski with a clearance.
Oh, lucky boy.
It's come straight to Barkley, who's on the run. Left side now in the Newcastle half. Barkley looking for Adebayo. Here's the chance. Dubravka saves with his foot. Kabore keeps it alive. Townsend's cross looking for Brown. Lascelles brings it away, and Lascelles trying to carry Newcastle upfield. Back to Miley, on to Almiron. Gordon running through the middle. Almiron's played the ball.
Oh dear.
Lascelles has gone down in the meantime, and it looks like he's holding. Say he was holding his groin at first. It might be his thigh. The game has stopped, but Almiron's ball was not well directed at all. He gave it back to Luton. But Dubravka with a really important save there.
Yeah, he should have scored, shouldn't he? Again, Barkley does great. He just busts onto it, busts through the middle, plays a great little ball.
And look at this, the Newcastle players, led by Fabian Schär, seem to be having a bit of an inquest in the centre circle. There's everybody there bar Lascelles. The goalkeeper's gone to join his teammates. Centre of the pitch, Newcastle, talking about what has been happening and hopefully trying to sort it out and find a way back into the match, Ando.
Yeah, it's been I thought we'd weathered the storm, played our way back into it, looked a better side. And then obviously they get the goal and it gives them a second wind. Then they hit the crossbar. What a strike that was.
Yeah. Lascelles is going to come off and Sven Botman's going to come on. He's taken the captain's armband off, and what a blow for a player who's found his way back into the team following an injury to Botman in September. He's played all the way through the last couple of months, played very well at times, and he's having to come off. And Sven Botman is coming on, and Alexander Isak's going to come on as well. In the 37th minute, a double Newcastle change, and Eddie Howe's called Bruno Guimaraes across, but he's not coming off. Howe is on the pitch talking to Bruno, and then gives him a pat on the back. Isak is going to replace Lewis Miley. Well, Miley, for us, has played well, but they need to get back into the match, 1-0 down. So on comes their record signing, Alexander Isak, and they're going to play with a 4-2-3-1. Dubravka, Trippier, Schär, Botman, Byrne, Longstaff and Bruno in midfield, Almiron and Gordon right and left, Isak behind Wilson.
Yeah, Isak's going to play in the hole.
But Miley going off, are you surprised?
Yeah, I am actually. I thought the young boy has done well again today.
Jacob Brown on the left wing for Luton, back to Alfie Doughty. 7 minutes in the first half still to play. The goal from Andros Townsend separates the teams. Isak just back from missing 2 matches with the recurrence of a groin problem. Not particularly an injury, Eddie Howe said, just some soreness in the muscle, and they decided to rest him. Mengi back to goalkeeper Kaminski. Now Bell loses the ball, challenged on the far side. Trippier up to Wilson. Newcastle through Longstaff and Bruno in midfield. Back to Schär, who's now at the right side of central defence. Bruno again, he's got 3 around him. He's ended up on the deck. It's the meat in the sandwich there, Bruno. 2 players, 1 either side. And Darren England gives Newcastle a free kick about 10 yards outside the box.
Yeah, send the big boys forward. Let's see if we can get something out of it.
Goal down. The away supporters trying to make themselves heard. 2 players in the Luton wall. It's right of centre, and it's 30 yards plus from goal. A couple of players in the wall, a few yards ahead of the box, but there are players to pick out from Trippier, who sends it in towards Schär at the back post.
Offside.
Flag's gone up.
Decent ball played in, attacked it well enough. Off target, but the flag, as you say, has gone up.
Kaminski, who's made 1 save from Callum Wilson, and it was a big save for Luton, but Wilson should have scored. That was at 0-0. Botman, his 3rd appearance since returning from injury. Newcastle then play it back to Dubravka. Chested down by Luton on the far side, then Isak onto Longstaff. Wilson trying to make the run up the wing. Longstaff looking for Bruno. Doughty's regained possession for Luton. Brown into Sambi Lokonga. They found some space. They've got more on the right side. Townsend protecting the ball, back to Sambi Lokonga. Gordon with him now. Sambi Lokonga's held off Anthony Gordon and played it to Ross Barkley. Forwards to Sambi Lokonga again. Trippier, good challenge on Doughty, who's then won it back, and Adebayo in the box. Still Elijah Adebayo, shot is blocked by Bruno. Townsend just outside the area, goes for the bottom corner from the angle.
Yeah, he doesn't see people around him in that position, does he?
Dubravka saves low down.
Comfortable save.
Keeper comes to the edge of the area and then rolls it to the left to Botman, passes it to Byrne, takes a touch up to the halfway line to Wilson on his chest. Wilson brings it in field to Longstaff, pushed forwards to Almiron to the right of the centre circle. He can move with the ball and does, and finds Isak. Isak's pass out to the wide area, takes a touch off a Luton player. Byrne with a throw. Bruno to Longstaff. Byrne down this near side for Gordon. Could take on his man. Decides instead to play it back to Botman. Inside to Cher. They've got Longstaff. In fact, Byrne actually tying his bootlace on the edge of the area. Cher still got it on the far side. Gets away from a couple of Luton players. Isak, nice touch, and then moves it to Trippier into the area. Almiron with space. Almiron lines up the shot, and it's over the top of the bar.
How much space did he have? He's got to hit the target. Got acres of space.
Time to take 3 touches before we had the shot.
But he didn't need to take 3 touches. Just get it out of your feet and whip it.
Luton had defenders back. He's tried to curl it into the far top corner, Almiron. 43 minutes on BBC Radio Newcastle, and they still trail to the Andros Townsend goal. Wilson looking for Isak on along with Botman in one of 2 changes. Lascelles off injured, Miley the other player replaced. I think tactical by Eddie Howe. Sambi Lokonga switches the play. And Doughty back to Bell. Bruno intercepts.
He's giving it away again.
But Isak couldn't get there. Barkley tidies up for the home side. Back to his goalkeeper. And it's a left-footed ball up to halfway. Cher, that's a nudge in the back of Jacob Brown, who's ended up flat on his face on halfway. And the free kick for Luton Town in the final minute of the first half.
I don't think you can have too many complaints about that one. The boy Bell at the back wants to come out and try and play all the time.
It's his first season in the Premier League, like a lot of his colleagues. You may remember him from Blackburn, Amari Bell. He's a Jamaican international. Newcastle trying to get forwards from their defensive third. They reach midfield. Luton win it and then switch it. Kabore, nice first touch. Played it against Byrne, then Byrne through the legs of Kabore, and Gordon to run over halfway. Wilson in the middle. Byrne there for support for Gordon, who gets tackled by Kabore. What a recovery. Gordon discussing with Wilson the move there, wanting a different run, a different option, as Townsend crosses into the box and Botman heads clear. Just missed the numbers board there. 3
I didn't see it.
Minutes, a minimum of 3 additional minutes on BBC Radio Newcastle. Luton lead Newcastle 1-0, and our other commentary match, DAB and Freeview Channel 719, Sunderland 1-0 down to Coventry. Callum Wilson in the area, tries to cross it towards Gordon. Mengi, he slipped as he attempted to clear it, and it's out for a Newcastle throw wide on the left. Probably level with the penalty spot. Byrne picks the ball up. Bruno to Longstaff, back to Botman. Fabian Schär could take it on. Goes on the outside to Trippier. Bruno, he's got a player in front of him, Sambi Lokonga. Byrne to Botman, the furthest outfield player back in the centre circle. Forwards to Isak. And Byrne. Isak again, Gordon with him on the wide left. Isak, oh, lovely skill. Isak away, he went for the through ball, it's blocked. He's got it back again and given it to Bruno. On to Isak once more. Trippier on the Newcastle right with Almiron, but Almiron ignores him. Then Schär puts the cross in. And Bell with a clearance, Schär with a header. Townsend tries to win it, and it's come back to United on halfway. Just over a minute until the half-time whistle. With the Eddie Howe's team a goal down at Kenilworth Road. Botman to Schär. Almiron, he's inside his own half. Botman to Schär. Isak lets it run, brilliant skill again, lovely feed. Now Wilson trying to get away into the area, but the keeper comes, and Bell defended it well, and then Kaminski, the goalkeeper, gets in the face of Wilson.
Yeah,
and
he
the
left his
referee
foot there, didn't he?
is having to come across.
Yeah.
But a lovely setup from Isak.
Great turn, yeah.
Done well, he's done that a couple of times since coming
he's
on.
so good at that. He just feels people and just rolls them. Wilson's just left his foot in on the keeper.
Everything's been sorted out by referee Darren England. And has a final word with Callum Wilson as he jogs back into the middle. The half-time whistle cannot be far away. Sunderland 1-0 down to Coventry, Newcastle 1-0 down to Luton here. And there is the whistle to bring the first half to an end as Eddie Howe, Jason Tindall and the Newcastle staff make their way across to the far side of the pitch. Fabian Schär and Dan Byrne have been talking to the referee. Schär is being sent away by Byrne. I don't know if a yellow card was produced there for Schär. We'll have to check that out, but there's clearly been an issue. And they head into the changing room, Ando, at half-time, 1-0 down.
Yeah. I'd say Luton started very quickly for 10-15 minutes, had us under the cosh. We're energetic, got in and about us. Then we gradually played our way into it, took control of the game really, started to become the better team, started to pass the ball well, and then we got hit with a sucker punch, didn't defend the initial corner, and Townsend back post, simplest header to put them 1-0 up. They've then hit the bar, and they've had another big chance as well. But look, get in at half-time. He's changed it around. He took young Miley off, who I thought was doing all right. Brought Isak on, playing him in the hole behind Wilson.
And Isak's looked lively.
Yeah, he has looked lively. But you know, look, young Miley got taken off. It's got nothing to do with his performance, because I thought his performance was decent. But he's got one or two things to sort out at half-time.
Yeah. They could be further behind as well.
Yeah, they
Ross
could be.
Barkley shot.
What a strike that was! That was an unbelievable strike. I mean, and then Dubravka gets lucky, because it could have very easily come down, smacked him in the back and gone into the net. And that Luton have been what you thought they would be. They've worked hard. Maybe haven't got the quality, but they chase down, they hassle you, they put you under pressure. They make life difficult for you. And as I say, at half-time he's got one or two things to sort out.
And we've talked about it, but that Callum Wilson header,
the ball, big chance.
You
got to
expect
score.
The ball to hit the net, don't you, from that sort of position with a player as
he's got all the goal aim out right, left, and he heads it straight at the keeper. It's a big chance for him. A player of his calibre, you'd expect him to put that in the back of the net.
Well, there's work to do then in the second half, and we'll bring that to you on BBC Radio Newcastle. We'll be back in the studio shortly with Colin White for all the other half-time scores and a report from our featured non-league match, Hebben, today. And after the game, there'll be a phone-in with Ando and also some post-match reaction from Kenilworth Road. But 45 minutes still to play. Time for Newcastle to turn it around. Andros Townsend, their former player, with the only goal so far. A header after a corner was flicked on. Half-time. It is Luton Town 1, Newcastle United 0.
Hi, I'm Rob Burland. In my next episode, I'm joined by Rotley, and I don't just mean that as a compliment. I mean literally. I can't wait for this one. It's the great husband and wife duo, Mike and Zara Tyndall. What are your pet nicknames for each other? And give me a few for the royal family too.
For the Prince of Wales, he is known as One Pipe Willie, because he's not the best of drinkers. It's out there now. Sorry, sir.
You're in so much trouble. 7, Rob Burn, available on the Total Sport podcast on BBC Sounds.
Total Sport North East.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
Both of our sides a goal behind at half-time. Luton 1, Newcastle United 0 at Kenilworth Road. Andros Townsend after 25 minutes. And Sunderland 0, Coventry 1. Tatsuhiro Sakamoto on the stroke of half-time. We will be back with our respective commentary teams for the second halves in just about 10 minutes' time. We will start then by going through the rest of the scores from around the country. We'll start in the Premier League. The early game saw West Ham go above Newcastle United into 6th place in the table because they beat Manchester United by 2-0. Jared Bowen and Mohamed Kudus in the final 20 minutes, giving them all 3 points. In the 3 o'clock games, Fulham against Burnley is goalless. That's the game with Rebecca Welch from Washington in charge of that one. She's the first female referee to take charge of a Premier League match, and relatively drama-free in the first 45 minutes. Nottingham Forest against Bournemouth is also goalless, but Forest are down to 10 men. Willie Bawley sent off for 2 yellow cards inside the opening 23 minutes. He will be suspended for their game against Newcastle on Boxing Day. Tottenham Hotspur 2-0 up on Everton. Richarlison after 9 minutes, Son Heung-min after 18. The 5:30 game is between Liverpool and Arsenal, and what a game that is going to be. Aston Villa drew 1-0 with Sheffield United last night.
Total Sport North East.
On the station with Newcastle and Sunderland commentary exclusively live.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
There was an early game in the Championship as well, and Leeds thumped Ipswich by 4-0. Pascal Struijk, a Leif Davis own goal. Crescencio Somerville with a penalty. That made it 3-0 at half-time, and then Joe Pirro 7 minutes into the second half made it 4-0. That is how it finished. So Leeds beating Ipswich 4-0, 3rd place beating 2nd place. In the 3 o'clock games then, Blackburn are 1-0 up on Watford. Adam Wharton after 3 minutes. That was the first goal in the whole of the EFL this afternoon. No goals between Leicester City and Rotherham. That's despite that being top against bottom. Middlesbrough 1-0 up on West Bromwich Albion. Morgan Rogers 5 minutes before the break. No goals between Norwich and Huddersfield. Birmingham City 2-1 up at Plymouth. They were 2-0 up through Jay Stansfield and Jordan James, but Joe Edwards 2 minutes before the break has got one back for Plymouth. Southampton lead 1-0 at Queen's Park Rangers. Taylor Harwood-Bellis 3 minutes before half-time. Sheffield Wednesday 1-0 up at home to Cardiff City. Anthony Musaba after half an hour. Stoke City against Millwall is goalless. There were 2 games in the Championship last night as well. Bristol City beat Hull City 3-2, and Swansea scored in the 95th minute to beat Preston 2-1.
Total Sport North East.
The Newcastle and Sunderland AFC podcast
on BBC Sounds.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
Into League One, it's Barnsley 1, Stevenage 1. Luther Wilden for Stevenage after 4 minutes. John McAtee equalising for Barnsley. It's also 1 apiece between Blackpool and Bristol Rovers. John Marquis for Bristol Rovers 4 minutes after Ollie Norburn had scored for Blackpool. Bolton are 3-0 up on Leyton Orient, and they were 3-0 up after 10 minutes as well. Josh Stakers Cogley, Dion Charles and George Thomason. Cheltenham 1-0 up at Carlisle United in a battle at the bottom. Liam Sercombe after half an hour. Charlton 1, Burton Albion 0 through Lloyd Jones. No goals between Northampton and Oxford United. Portsmouth have taken a late first half lead at home to Fleetwood Town. A Colby Bishop penalty in injury time. Reading 1, Wigan Athletic 0. Olubafemi Aziz after 34 minutes. It is Shrewsbury 0, Peterborough United 0 and Wycombe Wanderers 0. Port Vale 0. Cambridge United beat Exeter 2-0 in League 1 last night. There are only 6 games in League 2 this afternoon. That's because there were 6 games last night as well. So this afternoon's fixtures in League 2, Accrington Stanley and against Walsall is 1 apiece. A Freddie Draper penalty in injury time giving Walsall, bringing them back on level terms at half time. Harrogate 1-0 up at Grimsby Town. In fact, the next 4 are all 1-0 away leads at half time. Harrogate 1-0 up at Grimsby through Matty Folds. MK Dons now managed by Mike Williamson, of course, 1-0 up at Morecambe thanks to Max Dean. Mansfield are 1-0 up at the bottom side, Sutton United, Stephen Quinn with that goal. Swindon are 1-0 up away at Tranmere, and it is goalless between Wrexham and Newport County.
Total Sport North East.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
Into non-league then. Gateshead 1-0 down at Oldham in the National League at half-time. South Shields are 2-0 down at Rushall Olympic in National League North, but better for Blythe Spartans. They were 1-0 down at home to Chester and then scored twice in the space of 60 seconds. So Will McGowan and then Billy Gordon right in the middle of that first half. It is Blythe Spartans 2, Chester 1 at half-time. Morpeth are drawing 0-0 at Matlock Town in the NPL Premier Division. But our feature game this afternoon is in the NPL East Division. Hebburn Town at home to Grantham Town, and Paul Dixon can bring us a half-time report.
Half-time score, Colin. Hebburn 0, Grantham 0. Real difficult to play football. The wind is swirling round the ground. But to be fair, they have had chances. Hebburn. Joe Walton, 10 minutes in, from the edge of the box, fired a low shot from a corner. Corner by Hall, and the keeper Curtis Hall diving full length to save the ball. And then at 25 minutes, Liam Murray was very unlucky. A brilliant through ball by Ollie Martin, and there was Murray left of the goal. Cannondy shot off the post, and then it was cleared. And then Grantham went back up the other end, and Harvey Olliant in on goal. Shot hit the side net, and after good work by Simpson, should have really done a lot better. And then just before half time, Robbie Spence, a free header 8 yards out, heading past the post. Good chance, best chance of the half. Should have really scored from an Ollie Martin corner. Lot to do in the second half. Grantham are sitting in and making life difficult for Hebburn. Hebburn got to find a way to get their nose in front. Nils each half time, Colin.
Paul, thank you very much indeed. Also in that East Division, Dunstan lead 1-0 at Bridlington, a David Robinson goal after 6 minutes. Ashington, though, are 1-0 down at Brighouse Town, a penalty in the middle of that first half. Concert against Winterton Rangers is goalless. So too is Berwick Rangers, Scottish Lowland League game at Bowness United. We'll go through all of that in our local football roundup at 5:45.
Matt Bailey at breakfast.
We are done for 2023. Thank you so much to everybody who has listened and got involved with the show.
Joan, what's your issue with the cartoon character Mr. Ben?
A grown man goes into a changing room and he comes out as a character, goes off and has an adventure as that character. What a weirdo.
A lad I used to work with, someone nicknamed him Rubik after Rubik's Cube because I reckon he had a square head and it was all mixed up.
Have a good one, and we'll see you in 2024.
Matt Bailey at breakfast.
Weekdays from 6. BBC Radio Newcastle.
Newcastle are 1-0 down at Luton at half-time. Sunderland are 1-0 down at home to Coventry at half-time. Last night in Rugby Union's Premiership, Newcastle Falcons lost their 11th match in a row. They were beaten 21-13 by Bristol Bears at Kingston Park. Lock forward Kieran McDonald, the Falcons' only try scorer. Their head coach is Alex Codling, and he had a chat with our Rugby Union commentator Dean Gray after the game.
Were the Falcons guilty of just overforcing things to a degree, Alex?
Look, you could possibly say that, but the difficulty is when you're under pressure and you're not on a winning run, the confidence is not probably quite as high as everybody else's, and if those stick, you think it's a great decision. If they don't, then you're looking at it in a different context. So I always want the boys to move the ball. It obviously got harder in the second half of the rain, but so I'm not going to criticise the players. We just have to work harder on our basic skills, because ultimately it does chop our momentum, and it is tough to get back when you lose at this level. And but as I said, to a man, I thought the spirit was outstanding. Of course, it's tough, but you roll your sleeves up, you have a Christmas, and you go again against Sarries, and look, it doesn't get any easier, but that's why you play the game. These boys are going to learn a lot over the next few weeks, the young lads. As I said before the game, you've got a fly-off who's 20 years of age, played three starts at 10 in the Premiership. You've got a man making his debut at Jersey last year at 12, and you've got a 19-year-old England under 20s, really good prospect, and Ollie Spencer showed some really good moments tonight against Vakatawa. So that shows you the challenge. But to a man, I thought they were fantastic.
And Saracens next week, you just mentioned before. Thoughts on the squad so far? Anything crystallised in your mind? You've been through a lot of players, looked at a lot of young talent there. Really would ask to go any side to go down to Stonex Arena and take anything from there. So, any thoughts about the selection of the squad?
We'll attack the game as we have done every game. Like it's the only game for me out of our home games we've come incredibly close and could have and should have probably in all four. You could argue we haven't, and that was the only game that really got away against a really quality opposition. So look, we're going against the best or the champions from last year. So what better way of just rolling your sleeves up and getting stuck in? We've got nothing to lose. There's no expectations, certainly no pressure on us. So we had that at Sale, and I thought the group were magnificent against the team that was top of that stage. So I said, first and foremost, I think it's important everyone has a good Christmas, spend some time with family, because ultimately, of course, sport's important, but family's more important.
Indeed, Newcastle Falcons head coach Alex Codling there. The Falcons are at Saracens, like he's just said, on Saturday the 30th. Saracens lost 22-20 at Sale last night in a top-of-the-table clash. 3 matches taking place just now. Exeter are thumping Leicester Tigers. They're 21-0 up in that one. They've not quite reached half-time yet. Sorry, they have. They've just started the second half. It's Northampton Saints 24-14 up at Gloucester at half-time, and Bath are 8-5 up on Harlequins. Some fairly significant rugby league news as well this afternoon. Newcastle Thunder will play in League One next season after all. So the Rugby Football League has approved a change of ownership of the club, and now a new group of volunteers led by the chairman Keith Christie have satisfied the conditions for re-entry into the third tier. That application's been accepted today. The club are now saying they will continue to use Kingston Park as their home stadium. They've agreed terms with head coach Chris Thorman to continue in his role as well. They also say that work has already commenced on other areas, including player recruitment and matchday operational requirements. So some really positive news out of Newcastle Thunder this afternoon. We're looking for a bit more positivity though in our 2 commentary games this afternoon. Newcastle United 1-0 down at Luton. Matthew Raisbeck and John Anderson are on our FM frequencies this afternoon. Sunderland 1-0 down at home to Coventry City. Nick Barnes and Gary Bennett are on DAB Digital Radio and Freeview Channel 719. Back we go.
Half-time highlights.
Total Sport North East.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
0-0 here with a Luton corner. Left-footed outswinger and headed across goal and nodded in by Andros Townsend. And the former United player has given the home team the lead, scoring in front of the away fans. The corner headed on across the goal. Townsend free header, and in the 26th minute, it's Luton Town 1, Newcastle United 0.
Total Sport North East.
Matthew Raisbeck and black and white legend John Anderson.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
1-0 down after 45 minutes and 2 changes in the first half for Newcastle, who need to get back into the game. Luton are making a substitution of their own for the second half. On has come Ryan Giles, the former Middlesbrough player who they signed from Wolves in the summer, and he has replaced number 12 Issa Kabore, the right wing back. So a bit of a change for Luton, and Alfie Doughty has gone to the right side with Giles on the left. We'll go through their team in full in a moment, but Newcastle, Dubravka, Trippier, Cher, Botman, Byrne, Bruno and Longstaff in the middle of midfield. Quick Luton attack at the start of the second half, and it's gone for a throw. It was almost going to be a goal kick, but Doughty prevented it. Then Almiron right, Gordon left, and Isak playing behind Wilson. Botman came on for the injured Lascelles, and Isak replaced Miley in the first half. Newcastle have given it straight back to Barkley, edge of the area, from a clearance from the throw. Townsend taking on Byrne, beats him, hangs up the cross, but it's away from goal, and Trippier clears. Almiron chases, Luton get there first. Giles then loses it to Longstaff, Bruno, Isak now, Wilson on the far side. Isak trying to protect the ball. He's got 3 to take on, and it's a Luton throw. It was played against Alexander Isak, and it's on this near side. Newcastle shooting towards the goal to our right, where the away fans are. in their navy and yellow change kit. Luton in orange and white shirts, navy shorts, orange socks. It's Newcastle's throw now. Now the home team, just before we hear again from John Anderson, is Kaminski in goal. Now Doughty, Mengi, Osho, Bell, and substitute Giles in midfield. Barkley and Sambi Lokonga, Townsend, Brown and Adebayo up front. It's won by Luton in midfield. Townsend, second minute of the second half, to Doughty, back into the centre. Sambi Lokonga, Townsend into the feet of Ross Barkley. He signed him as a free agent in the summer after he left Nice in France. Barkley, after a season there, most recently in the Premier League with Chelsea before Luton. A ball in behind by Luton. Goal kick. John Anderson, what do you want to see from Newcastle at the start of the second half?
I'm sure there's been some harsh words said in that dressing room at half-time. One or two home truths. Need to be sharper, need to be quicker in what we do. You know, you would say that Luton have probably been hungrier, but we've just got to do better.
A Luton header, then a challenge in midfield, and the home team playing Jacob Brown, Trippier with a challenge, and goal kick. Now with the captain's armband following Lascelles' withdrawal. Listen to BBC Radio Newcastle. Byrne makes his way across to the halfway line on the far side of the pitch. And Dubravka looks for him with this goal kick, but a Luton defender comes forwards to nod it on, and then Adebayo away from Cher, and Brown in the area, left side, goes around Trippier, and hits the bar. Jacob Brown went for the near side, went high with the effort, and he's cracked one off the crossbar.
What a strike that is again. Big centre forward does well, just rolls it to him, just gets it out of his feet. Dubravka's getting nowhere near it. That's twice they've hit the woodwork.
It's a big 45 minutes for Newcastle. Can go back up to 6th if they win, but they are 1-0 down to the Andros Townsend goal. Bruno, good play to switch the ball from left to right. Trippier heads it to Cher, and it's in behind but away from Wilson, and Isak can't get there. Kaminski has sliced that with his right foot, but Sambi Lokonga mops up in midfield just before Gordon could get there for Newcastle. Byrne with a challenge. The ball's gone out on the far touchline. Midfield, Townsend on his chest and then lifted over to the near side. Trippier away, Almiron gets there before Giles, and he's gone down, Almiron, after there was contact between the two players, but there's no foul there. Then Trippier fouled by Jacob Brown, and free kick given. It's close to halfway.
No, it's no foul, they just went shoulder to shoulder.
Well, not Almiron.
No,
there was no foul.
Trippier was.
Yeah. That's why the whistle's gone. Nottingham Forest with 10 men lead Bournemouth by a goal to nil. Anthony Elanga has scored it, and another goal in the Premier League. Fulham 0, Burnley 1. Wilson Odobert for Burnley. Isak, nearly a misplaced ball.
Oh, he didn't fancy it, Townsend.
Botman got there just. And this is Botman. Wilson, lovely take on the chest. Almiron running in behind. Almiron into the area. Good defending. A covering player gets back for Luton and stops Almiron going through on goal. Longstaff. Luton wanted a free kick for a challenge on the near side. Down the line to Trippier. The cross stabbed behind. And a corner for Newcastle in the 51st minute, 1-0 down away from home.
Good ball, wasn't it? Wilson did really well.
Trippier, right-footed to the corner of the box to Gordon, back to Trippier, now pulled back to Bruno!
Got to hit the target. So intricate, these things, but then, have we ever scored from any of them? Have we ever scored from them? I mean, that's a great opportunity. He's got to hit the target. He puts it a mile wide.
Oh, it's a long way off goal as well, isn't it? Puts his head in his hands, Bruno. Now he looks to the sky as he walks back to halfway. That's a big miss. Huge chance. And they had one through Wilson in the first half that should have gone in. So should that, really. Bruno, edge of the box. Here he is, controlling the ball from a pass from Botman just outside the area, and Sambi Lokonga has fouled him. Luton 1-0 up on BBC Radio Newcastle. Share to Longstaff. Now Share forwards, Trippier in behind, right side, 3 in the middle. Trippier's cut back, Gordon near post, side netting. Side netting from Anthony Gordon. Trippier,
Angle was always tight.
Great
break. Yeah, good little ball. Angle was really tight though.
Steered it with his left boot into the side netting. Kaminski, goal kick. Headed on by Brown, straight to Trippier. Away again by Newcastle. Bell volleys forwards. It's gone up off Barkley. Bruno's header. Burns stabs it into midfield. Sambi Lokonga produces a pass for Doughty. Townsend on the outside corner of the area. Sambi Lokonga with a nice turn. And a ball to Townsend again. Burn away. Gordon to Bruno, trying to bring Newcastle forwards, and does, and that's a great ball for Gordon to chase after, left wing. And it's out of play, and it's a Luton throw. Challenge came in from Mengi, former Manchester United defender. And Anthony Gordon unable to keep the ball in. Everton have pulled one back at Spurs through Dominic Calvert-Lewin. It's now 2-1 to Spurs. 54 minutes on the clock with Luton 1-0 up. And Bournemouth have equalised against Nottingham Forest, and the goal scorer for Bournemouth is Dominic Solanke. And Gateshead are now level with Oldham away from home in the National League, 1-1. Stephen Wern, Gateshead's goal scorer. Here Newcastle losing 1-0. Had a couple of opportunities in the second half. Wilson chases a back pass to Kaminski. It's a long ball away, and it's bending favourably for Jacob Brown. And it's a throw for Newcastle. Share challenged him. Luton want a free kick. They get nothing.
Just barges him in the back.
Newcastle find Isak. Almiron then trying to get it to Wilson. Osho with some defending. They lose the ball, Luton. Newcastle fire it forwards, but Isak can't get there. Burn with a challenge. Bruno helping it forwards, but Alfie Doughty there for Luton. Burn slides in. The ball only comes to Ross Barkley, though. Edge of the area. Barkley with a couple of step-overs, and then Trippier, fortunately, challenges and wins it back, and Bruno has been fouled by Barkley, who's going to get a yellow card.
Oh,
it's not for the...
I tell you, that's poor refereeing. That is poor refereeing.
Darren England, the referee, was signalling that it was for a shirt pull.
He's shown no yellow cards in the first half. He's got to get his yellow card quota up. That was a good battle.
Luton fans don't like it. Barkley booked. Newcastle still 1-0 down though on BBC Radio Newcastle. Trippier bends one down the right wing, Isak chasing. Mengi, the defender, gets there first. And Giles back to Bell. Away it goes. Adebayo had the last touch and it's out for a throw. Trippier quickly to Longstaff. Looks for Almiron. And it's Barkley. He's clipped it from the left back position to the right wing. Byrne plays it against Doughty. Then heads forwards. Gordon. They've had a big chance in the second half through Bruno to equalise, but he put it wide after a corner was worked back to him. Luton haven't kept a clean sheet this season, but they are winning 1-0 against Newcastle. Dubravka's got the ball at his feet. Cher. Trippier is down the line, has to get it from Cher. He's lifted it up and then away. Wilson on his chest. Back to Bruno. Almiron makes a run. It's through the middle for Wilson to get after, but coming across is Gabriel Osho to clear it. Bruno to Longstaff. There's much more intensity about Newcastle's play now. Trippier looking for Almiron, cleared, straight back to Trippier. Bruno 10 yards outside the area. Isak makes the run. Bell intercepts. And Adebayo fouled by Cher. And the free kick has been given to Luton. Have they been a bit better, do you think, start of the second half, John?
A bit more
Anderson?
intensity about it, yeah. Yeah, definitely. Bell gives it away again.
Byrne with a header that's given the ball straight back to Luton. And Teden Mengi, the centre-half, is now on his way into the penalty area and has had a try. Misses the target, but worth an effort after a good run.
Yeah, he went a long way, didn't he? It's a centre-half's finish as well.
By the way, we thought Fabian Cher might have been booked at the end of the first half, but I don't think that was the case. Just as the players were leaving the pitch. And they have on the bench Karius, Dummett, Ritchie, Kraft, Hall, Livramento and Alex Murphy after the two changes in the first half, Newcastle. 1-0 down, Kaminski. That's gone out to the wing, that clearance. Doughty with a touch, and then Byrne for Newcastle to Bruno. Trippier tries to get in behind Jacob Brown, the forward, covering and clearing, and it's a throw in the Newcastle half. 30 minutes to play. Darkness descends on Luton. You can see the planes coming in to land at Luton Airport, not too far away. To the left, there's Wilson and Isak try to get on the end of a forward ball. Gabriel Osho carries it into midfield. Bruno back to the keeper. It's Botman. Longstaff on to Gordon. He's got space in between the lines. Gordon into the Luton half, carrying it. Now out to the left. Isak on the shoulder of the last defender wants it. It's instead to Almiron. He tries to get it through. Here's Alexander Isak! Alexander Isak! Brilliantly taken, but the offside flag goes up and VAR will check it. Isak curled it around the goalkeeper and inside the right-hand post, but the flag's gone up on the near side. This one may not count. Looks level, but they might need to draw the lines on. Took a touch, right foot across Kaminski and into the net. Peter Banks on VAR is going to have to take a really close look at this, Ando.
Yeah, it is tight. I haven't seen the lines. I've seen no lines.
Yeah, it's the position of his arm. His hand might be ahead of 29, which is Amari Bell in the middle. That's the defender that would be playing him onside. It's as close as you can possibly get. His feet are onside, the parts of the body that you can legitimately score a goal with. If it counts, it's 1-1. They need it to count, Newcastle. They're still looking at it VAR. They haven't put the lines on yet. And Isak on in the first half from the bench. His return from injury might be marked with a goal, but it's up to the video assistant referee. Still looking at this on BBC Radio Newcastle. It's offside, it won't count. It's not going to count. Isak adjudged to be just ahead of the last defender. So it's still 1-0 to Luton. And that is a big disappointment. The assistant referee's done incredibly well to spot that, given how little there was between Isak and the defender, but it did look, when the lines went on, obviously, that there was enough. ...63 minutes, still 1-0 down. But they've got to have belief now, haven't they, after the chances they've had, and they've had the ball in the net, and hope that it's there for them to come back.
Well, they've got to be better. You know, they just weren't at it in the first half. It was too pedestrian. You know, need to be quicker in what we've done. They've upped the tempo a bit second half. Putting Luton on the back foot, asking more questions of them. Things that they didn't do in the first half.
It's the voice of John Anderson, the former Newcastle defender, on BBC Radio Newcastle. It's a free kick for Luton next to the centre spot.
You got to remember, Luton have hit the woodwork twice as well.
Barkley to Giles, and it's with Barkley again in midfield on the near side, away from Longstaff. Ross Barkley. Alfie Doughty whips in a left-footed cross. Adebayo goes for it with Fabian Schär, but he can't get a header on target. And it's a goal kick. Headed on by Byrne. Wilson has come off his hip, but he's managed to get there before Barkley and find Almiron on the right wing. Trippier down the line, inside to Bruno, he's got a man on and has to go back to Schär on the halfway line. Botman square to Byrne. Isak makes a run, Byrne looks for him on that far side, headed forwards by Luton. They keep possession through Sambi Lokonga. Bell to Giles. Down this near side. Brown with a return ball to Ryan Giles. And the half-time substitute for Luton is attacking the penalty area. Here goes Giles. Dubravka pushes it down. And then Newcastle get it half clear. Brown to Barkley. Deflection off Botman. Dubravka can't prevent the corner.
Still very open, isn't it?
Gateshead have gone 2-1 up at Oldham in the National League through Lewis.
It's a save you'd expect Dubravka to make straight out of that near post.
Luton with a corner on the left. Newcastle a goal down. 66 minutes. Left-footed out swinger, Dan Burn, big header away. Alfie Doughty keeps it in. Almiron's won it back. Trippier to Longstaff, then Almiron to Bruno to Longstaff. They haven't been able to get away from the corner. Longstaff chips it down the line, and it's a header on. Luton forwards back into the box. Sambila Konga wins it for Townsend. He collides with Barkley, then turns Townsend. Adebayo trying to play a 1-2 at the edge of the box. Almiron for Newcastle, up to Wilson on halfway. Challenges with Bell. Giles to Adebayo. Townsend with Doughty to the right. Plays him in, wants it on his left. He's then gone on the outside of Burn, but Dubravka's come and slid and gathered the ball and been possibly caught by Doughty, but it's actually gone for a corner. Maybe he carried the ball out, Dubravka. Looked like he'd taken it cleanly, but it's a long way from where we are. They've actually given a goal kick, and Newcastle have tried to play it quickly, and then the match has been stopped.
This referee is...
It's a bit chaotic. It was definitely a goal kick, by the way.
But he's not sure what he's doing, is he?
Luton fans agree with you. Cher to Wilson on the right wing, kept in. United throw. Wilson takes it for Longstaff. Almiron ahead of him. There's options to the left. Longstaff has to come into central midfield. Caught after he played the ball, but we play on. Bruno's pass towards Isak, cut out by Doughty, and back to the goalkeeper. Fulham up 2-0 down to Burnley. Sander Berger has scored. Botman, good challenge on Barkley. Luton wants a free kick. Referee says no. And now Newcastle through Cher can bring it forwards. Over halfway to Burn. Alexander Isak on the turn. Good feet. Luton get plenty of bodies back. He's laid it off to Bruno. Gordon wide left. Anthony Gordon gets it. Burn goes ahead into the box. Gordon's cross is blocked. Coventry have gone 2-0 up at Sunderland. Commentary on that match on DAB and Freeview Channel 719 from BBC Radio Newcastle. Gordon keeps the ball in on the far side. And this is Bruno in the centre circle. Longstaff with lots of room here on the Newcastle right. Back to Bruno. Trippier's ahead of him. Only Wilson in the box. Longstaff with a ball for the angled run of Bruno. Bruno saved by the legs of Kaminski at the near post. It'll be a corner.
Yeah, good ball, Longstaff. Just roll him in. Just stretching, toe poke that Kaminski makes the save at his near post. Big boys come forward for this corner kick again.
They need an equaliser, Newcastle, with 20 minutes to play. They've had the ball in the net, but it was disallowed for offside. Trippier's corner. Burn heads it back across the box. Wilson looking for it. So is Almiron. Townsend's won it and taken it out to the near side. And it's out of Trippier. And stop a second ball running onto the pitch. As Giles throws it down the line. Longstaff with a header forwards. Barkley fouled by Almiron. And Amari Bell, Luton centre-back, wearing long sleeves and gloves. Clips it down the left wing. Brown heads it inside. It's a head injury. it seems. Well, that's why the referee stopped it, and he's signalling to the Luton medical team to come on, and they do. How do you see it at the moment, Ando?
It's finely poised, isn't it? From end to end. They've had their chances, we've had one or two, we've had one disallowed. They've hit the woodwork again in this second half.
Well, we have a stoppage here. Jacob Brown's okay. It's back up. There's no foul. And the match will restart in a moment. They have Matt Ritchie warming up Newcastle. Coventry are 3-0 up against Sunderland in a bad start for new manager Michael Beale. DAB, Freeview Channel 719 for the Sunderland commentary. We've got a phone in to follow on BBC Radio Newcastle, 0800 234 6565, the number to call. That's a brilliant ball looking for Trippier, but the keeper comes to the edge of the box. Botman pinged it, and it just went through to Kaminski. Big run up the pitch from Trippier. In the meantime, Anthony Gordon's come to the right wing, Miguel Almiron's gone to the left wing. Trippier knocks it on from the keeper's kick. It's into midfield, and Sambi Lokonga, who's played well for Luton, has taken it out to the left wing, but it's gone out for a Newcastle throw.
Him and Barkley in midfield have been good, haven't they?
Cher plays it across the penalty box to Byrne on the far touchline, back to Botman, Byrne again, Botman once more, forwards looking for Almiron, intercepted by Luton. Bruno with a challenge, then Doughty takes it on into the area, but Byrne sees it behind. Dubravka puts it down quickly and plays it to Cher. There's a sense of urgency about the Newcastle play now. In the 74th minute, still 1-0 down to the goal scored by Andros Townsend in the first half. They're trying to find a way forwards there, but Luton stopped them. And Cher back to the goalkeeper.
Oh dear, oh dear.
It's gone straight out of play. For a throw high up on the right-hand side for Luton, whose manager Rob Edwards, coach that brought them into the Premier League, is talking to one of his substitutes, might be about to make a change. Ball's in play from the throw. It's Barkley to Adebayo, back to Bell, the centre-back, next to the centre circle. Sambi Lokonga for Adebayo, edge of the area, down he goes, went down far too easily in the opinion of the referee, and Almiron away from a couple of challenges. On the right side, Almiron, Gordon with him, and he gives it to Anthony Gordon, lining up the cross, good ball in, it's gone behind for another corner. Bell's gone down, and Luton are going to make the change. Bell's actually the player who's going off, and Mads Andersen, Danish centre-back, signed from League One team Barnsley in the summer, is coming on. 75 minutes. The goal came in the 25th minute from Townsend. That's how long Newcastle have been behind. But in front of their away fans, they have a corner. And Kieran Trippier is going to be the man to take it. Longstaff's hanging back near halfway, but Luton have brought everybody into the box to defend. Gordon and Almiron, edge of the area. Byrne, Botman, Cher next to the penalty spot. Luton lead 1-0 on BBC Radio Newcastle. Trippier's corner. It's a header at the near side from Botman. It's off target.
Flat corner kick, wasn't it? Stoop and header. Had the goal low. couldn't get enough curl on it. Keeper just watches it go past this near post.
Send us a WhatsApp message 08000 321 333. Put BBC at the start for our post-match discussion and phone in. We'll also have reaction from the dressing room before 6. If you're listening on NUFC TV, you can get us on BBC Sounds for the phone in. Dan Burn burst forwards. It's a good run. Almiron wide on the left, back through for Burns' run, and that might go for another corner. Yes, it does. On the far side this time.
It's getting stretched, getting really stretched the game, which will suit us a bit more.
Tino Livramento and Lewis Hall sent out by Eddie Howe to warm up. He's making some notes next to Jason Tindall as Kieran Trippier prepares to take another corner. Bruno standing next to the keeper, Wilson in front of Kaminski as well. Here's the corner kick. It's headed away by a defender. Almiron takes it down. Good control. Back to Trippier. Then Almiron again takes a touch. Scoops in the cross. And Luton bring it away through Barkley. Oh, and a good ball by Barkley to Townsend, free on the right. Newcastle have got plenty of players back as Luton come forwards. Barkley tries to cross it. And Adebayo is held up by big Dan Burn, who pushes it out for a throw. Chris Wood has equalised for Nottingham Forest against Bournemouth. It's 2-2 in that game now. 78 minutes on the clock here, and Newcastle are still 1-0 down. Ryan Giles on the outside, across Dubravka stretching, catches it next to the crossbar.
Right on the middle of his goal.
Luton are going to bring on big centre forward Carlton Morris, and there's going to be another change for them as well. Preparing to make a second substitution as Wilson chases a ball out to the right wing, leaves it for Bruno. Isak wants it back post, headed behind. Yet another Newcastle corner as they press for an equaliser.
Yeah, Wilson couldn't go for that. He was offside.
Trippier once again the set piece taker. It's driven to the back of the box. Fabian Schär heads it into the centre. Botman heads it up. Burn goes for it. Luton nodded away. Anthony Gordon tries his luck, and it's blocked and comes out to the near side, and it's put out for a throw. Here is the Luton substitutions. There's going to be 3 changes for Luton. Coming on, Pelly, Ruddock and Panzu, replacing Albert Sambi Lokonga.
Played well, him, Lokonga.
A full international with Belgium, on loan from Arsenal. Off he goes. Carlton Morris comes on for Elijah Adebayo. Like-for-like change up front. And the other Luton switch, we'll see Chidozie Ogbeni, the Irish international forward, formerly of Rotherham in the Championship. They signed him on a free transfer in the summer. Come on for Andros Townsend, the goal scorer. And Tino Livramento is coming on for Newcastle. And I think it's for Almiron. For Almiron, and maybe Livramento will go on the right and possibly Gordon on the left on the wing. No sign of Lewis Hall, but a third Newcastle change. 1-0 down in the 81st minute. It's a throw, level with the penalty spot. Trippier, Bird heads it on. Oh, it's just too high for Wilson. Luton have cleared it. Morris nods forward. Schär on. Morris with another header, and Trippier to Botman in the centre circle. Along halfway to Cher, down the line to Longstaff. Trippier gets it on the right wing. Livramento makes a run. Trippier into Bruno. Has to go infield, couldn't go forwards. Sven Botman. Wilson at the edge of the penalty area with a defender at his back, and it's a through ball that's ended up with the goalkeeper.
Yeah, he went looking for the free kick, didn't he? Wasn't getting it.
Trippier heads away from the ball forwards, then he nods it on once more. Livramento back to Bruno, lets it run, and away from Panzu. Isak on the half turn, laid off to Gordon. They've entered the final third now, Newcastle. Gordon back into central midfield to Bruno. Trippier in the box. Longstaff might have it. Trippier gets it. Longstaff on the outside. Trippier's cross. Ooh, they've missed it. Ogbeni on the far side of the pitch. And Gordon's kept it in. He's had to play it back to Byrne. Luton getting a bit deeper as they defend against a Newcastle who need to equalise. Botman. Cher. He's going to carry it. He's going to go Cher. He's looked for Livramento. It's cleared. Bruno through a gap to Trippier. Cross is blocked. Longstaff to Trippier again. Every Luton player behind the ball. Botman up to Isak. Good first touch. Longstaff in the area. Longstaff takes it down. Wilson on the turn. It's blocked. It's come here for Longstaff, right side of the area. Effort is blocked. Longstaff for Wilson again. Luton, they just about get it clear. Trippier then heads on to Fabian Cher on the right wing. It's all Newcastle. Bruno to Longstaff, cleared. Morris, a couple of appeals for handball. Livramento wins it back. Botman has touched it out to Gordon on the left, but close to halfway. 84th minute now, 1-0 down. BBC Radio Newcastle. Longstaff. Trippier on the touchline. Cher into Botman.
Getting deeper and deeper, Luton inviting it.
Bruno into the box. Giles heads away. He had Livramento at his back, and Brown with a clearance. Newcastle have it with Botman and Cher, and back to Dubravka from halfway. Longstaff lays it off to Trippier. Bruno just inside the Luton half. Lewis Hall is going to come on next. Botman from the centre spot carries the ball and gives it to Dan Byrne. Byrne's got his feet in a tangle and it's gone out of play. Hall is coming on for Byrne. He sprints over to the near side. And Newcastle's fourth change. 5 minutes to go. What's your feeling, John Anderson?
Still time to get something out of it. They're dropping deeper and deeper, Luton, inviting pressure. Dangerous game to play.
They throw it down the line. Morris on his chest. And Ogbeni with him. Ogbeni now taking on Botman. And plays a ball inside to Morris. Back out to the wide position to Alfie Doughty. Barkley to Mpanzu. And Doughty, that's a burst in off the left wing. Plays it into the area. Brown to Barkley! A fierce, fizzing right-footed shot past Dubravka's post.
It's been the best player on the pitch. looks back to the player that everybody thought he was going to be before going to Chelsea.
There's a problem with the goal kick. Newcastle have had to take it again, which they've done. Cher sees a gap, runs into it. Being pulled, Fabian Cher, by Carlton Morris. Didn't like the challenge. And they've taken a quick free kick, Newcastle. Cher was off the pitch actually retrieving the ball when they restarted things. Botman to Hall. Gordon down the line. Hall comes back inside to Botman. 3.5 minutes of normal time to go. Isak's had one disallowed after an offside call. This is Trippier trying to find Wilson in the area, headed down by Luton, who haven't kept a clean sheet in the Premier League. But they have so far today. Livramento sticks in the cross towards Wilson, headed backwards by a defender and then caught by the goalkeeper.
Could have went anywhere, couldn't it? Just looped straight up in the air, easy for the keeper to come and get.
From Kaminski from his hands towards Brown on the left wing, and that's gone out for the United throw. Which Trippier in the middle of the Newcastle half is preparing to take. 08000 321 333. Put BBC at the start for a message on WhatsApp. Back to Dubravka, and then a header won by Barkley in midfield. Luton have the ball. Bruno for Gordon. Has to get away from a couple and was fouled. It's a yellow card.
This referee has lost it.
Yellow card for Teden Mengi, who actually lost his boot. Or was it a shin pad? No, it's his boot. Lost his boot in the challenge. But he got yellow carded for the tackle on Gordon.
No, he got yellow carded for not giving the ball back.
I was going to say, I didn't think the tackle was that bad.
Got to get the yellow cards up in the second half, you know.
So you keep saying.
I know. You watch. None in the first half. How many is it now? 3.
Longstaff for Cher. Trippier is advanced down the right side. Cher, great ball for Wilson, takes it around his man in the area. Wilson tries to cross, and what is it going to be? It's goal kick. It's a goal kick. Might have been a corner, but they've given a goal kick.
Looked like he got away from the big centre back.
Eddie Howe applauding and shouting towards his players. We're in the final minute of normal time. Phone in to follow on BBC Radio Newcastle. It's gone away from Cher. Botman forwards. Bruno back to Botman, edge of Newcastle's box. Numbers board is ready. They came here looking to win. If they can get out of this with a draw, they'll probably be delighted at this point. 1-0 down as we reach the end of the 90. There will be a minimum of 7 additional minutes. Newcastle have the ball in the Luton half. Cher to Livramento, laid off to Isak. Gets away from a couple outside the area, then finds Trippier. Trippier digs out the cross. Isak header, Bruno header. Wilson trying to go for it, saying he was blocked off. Appeals to the referee, nothing given. And the Luton goalkeeper has the ball.
Bruno saying handball, somebody else is saying blocked off.
Referee's been touching his earpiece, but we're playing again, and the ball Out to the left wing, Brown's got it. And Longstaff with the last touch. 6 minutes remaining. It's a Luton throw. This will be a massive result for them. Burnley winning, Sheffield United getting a point yesterday. And Newcastle will be so disappointed. It's in the corner, Morris near to the goal line now, and they found Brown, and Panzu laid off. Barkley thought about the shot, he's got it in the D, still hasn't taken on the shot. He's moved it to the right wing to Ogbene, back to Barkley. Now he goes for goal and misses the target.
Yeah, it was on his left foot, wasn't it? He's been excellent though for them. It's been brilliant in that midfield.
Fabian Schär back to Martin Dubravka. It's not the best ball forwards from the keeper, straight to Brown, but back to Schär, inside to Bruno. Isak's on the left and wants it. We've got Livramento just playing behind Wilson at the minute. Gordon on the right wing. Alexander Isak far side to Bruno, away from Morris. Looking for Trippier. Oh, Luton header goes backwards. Brown then with it control in the box. Trippier's gone down after they challenged for the ball. Nothing given either way. Schär to Botman. We're in the centre circle, Newcastle. 4 minutes of the 7 remaining. Longstaff, right of centre. 10 yards from the penalty area. Gordon to Trippier, on to Longstaff, away from his man. The cross is dealt with by the Luton defence. They clear the box, and then they've lost it to Trippier. Bruno, edge of the area. Hall wants it. Bruno, he's tried to find Isak and played it straight to Ogbene. Runs away down that far side, chased by Hall. Hall has pulled him back and gets a yellow card. It's a free kick for Luton.
Yeah, the one thing he can do is run, this kid. He's sharp.
Hall just had to stop him breaking away. We've now got 3 minutes of the additional time period remaining. 1-0 to Luton. Since the 25th minute, Newcastle win the ball straight back. Bruno needs some sort of option. He didn't have much. Schär takes it over halfway, on to Trippier. Then Schär carries on his run. Inside to Bruno. Oh, that's not the best ball from Bruno. And straight to the keeper. Kaminski. Releases it. It's bouncing in the Newcastle half. Schär brings it down and inside. And they've got a runner through the middle. It's Gordon, but headed away by Mads Andersen, the substitute. 2 minutes remaining on BBC Radio Newcastle. Botman and Morris chase after the ball. It's going to beat them both. And goal kick for Dubravka. It's got to go upfield quickly. Bruno's made himself available and gets it from Dubravka. Longstaff could have it. Does get it, but he's on the edge of Newcastle's box. 90 seconds of the 7 minutes. Livramento controls, now tries to run. There are 2 on him, and Luton have won it back. Hall, good challenge, stopping Ogbene, breaking away. We are almost into the final minute. Luton throw it into the corner and win a corner kick. This would be a 7th defeat of the season. They dropped a place earlier because of West Ham's win over Manchester United. .35 seconds remaining. And Luton with this corner, just going to keep the ball in the corner. Newcastle have got bodies there winning it back, but now Luton have broken away and run along the goal line. Then they take it back to the corner. 15 seconds. It's another corner. It's just about slipped away, hasn't it, Ando?
Yeah.
All eyes on the referee, Darren England. Could well be Luton's first clean sheet. The whistle's gone. Is that the end of the game? There's some trouble on the far side. The referee is having to separate players. It's not clear that the game has definitely ended.
It's finished.
And now it is all over. And Newcastle United have lost at Luton, and it is in a season that has contained some disappointing defeats. Probably the most surprising of the lot, given the positions relatively in the table. They came here looking to win. They trailed for most of the match, and despite having a few big chances and a goal disallowed for offside, they couldn't get back into the game. They dropped to 7th in the table, and Luton have gone close against Liverpool, Arsenal and Manchester City. Now they have beaten Newcastle at Kenilworth Road, and plenty of disappointment on the faces of the players who applaud the away fans. There's no getting away from it, John Anderson. It's a bad result.
Yeah, poor result. Look, we didn't do enough in the first half. We were too slow, too tepid in what we did. We got out-battled, and that doesn't happen very often. Second half, we were a little bit better, moved it quicker. Plenty of the ball, but didn't create a great deal. You know, had the goal disallowed, but never forced the goalkeeper into making saves, and it's a disappointing result. Expected to come here and get something. Our away form is worrying, you know, only the one win away from home. Can't keep relying on your home form to keep digging you out of holes.
The shocking away form continues. 1 win in the Premier League this season, 4 defeats in the Premier League away from home in succession. First time that's happened for 3 years, when they lost 5 in a row away in 2020 and into January 2021. Luton hadn't kept a clean sheet all season. Now they have. Emotional for them after what happened to their captain Tom Lockyer last weekend. You can see on the face of their manager Rob Edwards almost in tears after the final whistle. We're going to have a phone in on BBC Radio Newcastle, 0800 234 6565. We'd love to hear from you about this match, about the away form, about things in general, the transfer window, whatever you want to talk about. You can send us a message on X, formerly Twitter, at BBC Newcastle, or on WhatsApp, 08000 321 333. Put BBC at the start. Newcastle's players have gone back in the changing room. Not much time to rest, Ando. Boxing Day they play again. Nottingham Forest at St James's Park. There's just been a late goal in the Forest-Bournemouth match, hasn't there?
Yeah, Bournemouth have scored.
So Bournemouth probably going to win 3-2. May well have won 3-2. And Forest come to St James's Park next.
Yeah, look, you got to prepare for that. Different side at home, different energy levels, different vibe about the way we play the game, the way we get in and about sides. we've got to go again on the 26th. You know, for a side that looks like they've lost again today. New manager came in, but same results. So got to look to pick ourselves up.
They got Isak back and Cher back from injury today. And despite Isak's goal in the second half, it was ruled out for offside. And a few other chances, Newcastle couldn't get the equaliser they needed, and it's finished here 1-0 to Luton.
Total Sport North East.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
2 games, 2 defeats for us this afternoon. Michael Beale's first game in charge has gone spectacularly wrong at the Stadium of Light. Sunderland losing 3-0 to Coventry City. Benno says they look worse under the new head coach. Were you there this afternoon? Do you think they looked worse? Did you leave early? And there's a valid reason for asking that, because quite a few people did. As for Newcastle United, the worryingly bad away run goes on with that 1-0 defeat at Luton Town. It's Luton's first clean sheet in the Premier League, and to make it worse, the goal is scored by the former Magpie, Andros Townsend, as well. And there's another injury, this time to Jamal Lascelles. Why is the away form so poor? How does it get fixed? Give us a call to chat with either John Anderson or Gary Bennett. 0800 234 6565 is the number to call. 0800 234 6565. If you can't call us, messages 08000 321 333 on WhatsApp. 81333 for your standard SMS messages. Start all of them with the letters BBC. There is plenty to discuss.
Total Sport North East.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
Hello, it's Santa here.
The big man is back on BBC Radio Newcastle this Christmas Eve.
I'll be dropping down to talk to the children of the North East. Oh, it's so much fun.
If your little one would like the chance to talk to Santa on Christmas Eve, WhatsApp your name to 08000 321 333. Just remember to start your message with the word BBC.
Now, who's on my naughty list this year? Miriam Michael, Matt Bailey again? Oh dear.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
Total Sport North East.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
2 games, 2 defeats then. Luton 1, Newcastle United 0 and Sunderland 0, Coventry 3. A reminder of that phone number, 0800 234 6565. To have a chat with Gary Bennett and John Anderson, who'll be back in about 5 minutes' time. Elsewhere this afternoon then, we'll start in the Premier League, where the early game saw West Ham beat Manchester United 2-0. Jared Bourne and Mohamed Kudus in the second half. In the 3 o'clock games, Burnley win 2-0 away at Fulham. Wilson Odobert and Sander Berge with Burnley's goals, and they win 2-0 away from home. Nottingham Forest 2, Bournemouth 3. A Dominic Solanke hat-trick, giving Bournemouth the win eventually. Willy Boly was sent off for Nottingham Forest after 25 minutes. They then took the lead through Anthony Elanga 2 minutes into the second half. Dominic Solanke scored twice. Bournemouth were 2-1 up. Chris Wood, formerly of Newcastle, came on as a substitute, equalised for Nottingham Forest. But Bournemouth and Solanke's third in the final minute of the game, giving Bournemouth a 3-2 win away from home. Spurs have held on to beat Everton 2-1. Richarlison and Son Heung-min had them up 2-0 within 20 minutes. Andre Gomez got one back for Everton with 8 minutes to go. They'd already had another one ruled out by VAR, had Everton, but it finishes Spurs 2, Everton 1. Liverpool against Arsenal is at 5:30, and last night Aston Villa drew 1-1 with Sheffield United.
Total Sport North East.
Call free 0800 234 6565.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
Into the Championship then, the early kick-off today saw Leeds beat Ipswich by 4-0. Third beat second. Pascal Stroke, a Leif Davis own goal, Crescencio Somerville from the penalty spot, and then Joel Pirro. So Leeds 4, Ipswich 0. In the 3 o'clock games, Blackburn scored the first goal of the afternoon in the Championship and then conceded twice in the last 10 minutes to lose 2-1 at home to Watford. Adam Wharton with Blackburn's goal, but Mileta Rajovic and then Reece Healy in the 87th minute. So Blackburn 1, Watford 2. Leicester City against...
Cleared.